The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Oh, welcome into a Monday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a new or slightly used automobile, you definitely need to check out Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown before you make the commitment of buying a new or slightly used automobile. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. If you like basketball, pretty sure you're going to like today's show.
It's going to be a good show, I think.
Yeah, pretty sure you'll like today's show. The OHSAA came out with the tournament pairings for the girls, and we will most definitely talk a little bit about that. We also have tournament pairings for the other winter sports, which we will also get into, but wall-to-wall basketball. And I guess before we get into the tournament pairings, there is some regular season basketball
Yeah,
to be talking about.
we had a good weekend of basketball before the tournament draw happened. So Friday night, lined up really well. We had some good games. I had a great game. McDonald went to Waterloo, won by just about the same score as they beat Waterloo by in round one. In round one, it was 68-65. This time around, 67-64. So they took a different path. They didn't have to come back from down 17 in the fourth quarter, but the result was the same, and it was just a crazy game. Those two teams are really well matched with each other. They both do things that I think the other one is a little bit weak against. So it was really fun to watch round two of McDonald versus Waterloo.
Yeah, and it's a damn shame that Waterloo's D3 and McDonald's D4. Otherwise, we'd see a third meeting without any doubt.
I think the D3 teams are agreeing with you that it is. But Kyle Shockley played amazing. He scored 31 points. He had a 4-point play. You do not see that too often. He got fouled, almost a lunging three. And it went in, and then he made the foul shot to cut it from, I think it was 61 to 54, and he made it 61-58. So he gave Waterloo a chance down the stretch with that 4-point play. And then for McDonald, Carquito got into foul trouble really early, and I was really impressed with their bench players coming in and really putting their stamp on the game, because I was saying off air, when your stars do well and they win you a game, that you can say, oh, that's talent, or that's just the ability on the court doing it. But when your bench has to come in and hold down the fort and they execute well and they keep you alive in the game, that's all coaching, and that's what really puts the stamp on Coach Francis Shelley and what he's doing at McDonald with what his bench is able to do in times like that.
Well, and in previous years, McDonald didn't go very far in their bench.
They didn't have to. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean,
and I think that this is going to serve McDonald long term when you get into the tournament, because you got to have a solid bench, because there are going to be nights like Friday night where you're going to get into foul trouble, and your bench is going to have to come in and do a really nice job. Now, the only difference is in the tournament, lights are a little bit brighter. You have a little bit more urgency. But it's good to know that McDonald can go 8 and 9 deep. And that's something that, like I said, in previous years, they really haven't been able to go 8 and 9 deep. And that's what held them back in terms of getting a further advancement in the tournament. This has the makings of McDonald having a lengthy tournament run if things fall into place for them.
Yeah, and what I like about it is they're more balanced on offense, and they can beat you in so many different ways. And not that they couldn't last year, but I feel like last year they fell into that trap. Even though every guy on the floor had the ability to do exactly what they do this year, they fell into that trap with Zach Brazil where they were just sitting and watching, standing around watching. That offense off the ball got kind of stagnant at times. Because Brazil could just take this guy off the dribble, go right to the hoop, and get a layup, or take a shot off a step back, So there were times in games games for McDonald where I think that their players got kind of lackadaisical and kind of fell into the mental trap of we can just stand and watch Zach Brazil play. And obviously this year can't do that. So they're playing a little bit more as a solid, consistent, mentally focused unit all the way through the game.
Yeah, some good games on Saturday as well. Mooney getting a victory after getting knocked to the canvas earlier in the week. It was good to see them get back up and get a victory over Howland.
It's just good to see them on the court.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Howland was down their star player, and that's one of the things you have to look at, but still a good, really momentum-bringing win for Mooney because they were on a roll before they got shut down for COVID. So they can get back on their feet and start to get back to where they want to be.
Really good to see Fitch go across the state line and play Sharpsville. They get a 66-49 victory over Sharpsville, and bravo to them. I'm surprised that there are more teams that have not decided to go across the state line and take on the brethren in Western Pennsylvania. Lord knows they're in just as bad a shape as most of our teams, being that Governor Wolf over in Pennsylvania shut everything down until early January.
How about the weekend that Salem had? They take down Marlington, which is a great league win on Friday night, and then they go and beat Division I Hudson on Saturday. So a great weekend for the Salem boys, really getting two strong quality wins a week before the tournament draw.
Yeah, Salem is, and we've been talking about this team, but not just the boys, the girls. They're both going to be a very interesting team come tournament time. Now that we see the draw with the girls, I really like Salem's chances.
And the boys, man, they play above the rim so well.
Yeah.
They got a couple of kids that aren't afraid to dunk on you in the half court, and they're very fun to watch. And TJ got that game on Saturday, and I was a little jealous because that game was one of the ones where you just go, you kind of sit back and you're just excited for that program to get that big monumental, Division I, a little bit of respect given to you win. Because, when you win against a program like Hudson, that's going to open some eyes for you.
Oh, no question. And it was a good weekend for the kids in Salem. Much needed weekend for the kids from Salem as well. Congrats to Girard. They got a victory over LeBray. LeBray had beaten Crestview on Friday night, a nip and tuck game that could have gone either way. Girard able to get a win over LeBray Saturday night, so congratulations to them. Unexpected overtime game from North Jackson, Champion knocking off Jackson Milton on Saturday night. That was a solid game. Leetonia girls picked up a 41-38 overtime victory over Matthews. Columbiana getting a victory over Valley Christian, which I thought was pretty interesting, given the fact that Valley Christian has a pretty good girls team. I was surprised that Columbiana was able to beat them.
Well, I'll tell you, Columbiana, they started off kind of down because you'll lose what they lost last year and Caleb Maslowski and some of the other seniors that went away last year. That'll be tough. But players like Grace Whitmer and Tori Long have really stepped up and started to lead this team, and they're starting to find their groove as we go through this season a little bit. And they didn't get that bad of a tournament draw. I think they're like the 11th seed. We'll talk about their placement and everyone's placement a little bit later in the show. But, I think they're really a team that they can maybe win a couple tournament games because of how they've been playing late.
All right, we got to flip the script and do a little EOWL wrestling. Congrats to Louisville. They won the EOWL tournament, 253 points, way better than second place Austin Town Fitch, who finished with $170.5. Beaver Local finished a very close third to Fitch with 169 points. South Range had 148.5 points. Canfield finished in fifth place. West Branch in sixth. Garfield in seventh. Crestview finished eighth. Boardman actually tied Crestview for eighth place. And Alliance finished in 10th place. Some really good wrestling. And we're not talking about the WWE off the top rope using a folded chair. No, we're not talking about that stuff. The Greco-Roman wrestling, which is a really, really good sport. And I don't know about you, but I'm stunned still that wrestling is a sport that we can have with the COVID situation going on.
Yeah, and West Branch, they still had a really good wrestling day. I mean, they won the Division II championship.
Yeah.
And they had a really good Saturday, and they had a couple of individual wrestlers do really well as well. So I think West Branch was one of the teams that really stood out to me in that tournament, other than the obvious Louisville, who is known for wrestling, has a great wrestling program, and they got the win overall in the team competition. But I think if I had to pick another team that really stood out this weekend for wrestling, it'd be West Branch.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Good weekend for wrestling. Good weekend for Fitch. They host the EOWL. And congratulations to everyone on a well-run tournament again.
From all of us at YSN, I mean, bravo to Fitch for putting that on and to have the things that we needed to really put that whole broadcast on, because we broadcasted Friday and Saturday the EOWL. And by the way, on Saturday, that wrestling for Fitch, it destroyed any basketball views we had all weekend. I mean, the fans for wrestling, thanks for you for coming out. We appreciate the viewership. We appreciate the sport. I think over 6,000 people watched wrestling over the weekend on YSN. So we appreciate Austin Town Fitch for hosting it, for hosting us at YSN, and we really loved putting on those broadcasts.
Yeah, it's a sport that unfortunately does not get as much press as the three big sports, which would be football in the fall, basketball, boys and girls variety in the wintertime, and baseball. Or girls softball in the springtime. Unfortunately, wrestling is in the same niche as track and field, volleyball, cross country, golf, bowling, swimming and diving, swimming in general. It's got its own niche, but believe me when I tell you, it's a fascinating sport.
And believe me when I tell you, YSN has learned this winter, I should say, that when you put those niche sports on, they come out of the walls, and the fans just like come out of the woodwork, and all of a sudden you're getting 6,000 views over a weekend. And we had, I think, the first swim meet we did this year, we had like 2,000 views on a Wednesday night. So there's definitely some excitement about both those sports in the area. You just have to be able to set it up and find it, and then have an avenue to view it. And YSN is proud to do both.
Is it say that we're drowning in ratings?
Yes. But the first punt of the day brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be the last one, by the way. So
I don't know about that.
We'll just go from there. All right. So we have the particulars out of the way. As we mentioned yesterday, the OHSAA across the state of Ohio had the girls basketball tournament draw. Everyone was seated. Everyone was put in its proper place, and we'll get to the brackets and whatnot. First, let's get to the phone lines, as the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline is open for business. 330-886-0813. Tony, what's going on, brother?
Oh, not much. Hey, I think this kind of wrestling is called freestyle wrestling. I think Greco-Roman's a little bit different. I don't think they use their legs in Greco-Roman.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think this is called freestyle. Somebody can correct. I'm not a wrestling guy, but I did see a great wrestling match last weekend. I tuned into the Bills-Chiefs game, and I watched the cornerbacks from the Chiefs, clinch and wrestle with the receivers from the Bills all 4 quarters.
Yeah. That was tie up,
I'll see
collar
you
and
guys
elbow,
later.
as JR would say, collar and elbow tie up all game long. I was going to say the body slams that were in that game were pretty good too, but neither here nor there. The wrestling in high school, a little bit different from the wrestling that you might have seen last night.
No one got the chair.
Nobody got the chair. Nobody got thrown off the top rope, because there is no top rope in this brand of wrestling. So yeah. Although I would like to see, probably outlawed, but I would like to see someone get put in a figure 4 in high school wrestling and see if it is actually as painful as they say.
You want Quinn to put you in one right now?
Hell no, I don't. I got bad knees. That's not going to happen. I have, however, been body slammed where, a guy picks you up.
Yeah,
and throws you
your
down.
body, right.
I mean, that's again, if you land right, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, that's and in that ring, I've been blessed to be in that ring where the WWE ring is more like a trampoline.
Well, yeah.
It's a generic trampoline where
you're not pulling back the curtain too much, right?
No, not at all. If you get slammed, you're going to bounce a little bit.
It's choreographed.
It's choreographed. Absolutely, it is. I don't think we're saying anything that isn't true. I hope people aren't listening in, or kids are listening in going, hey, you just ruined my day. Why don't you just tell me Santa Claus isn't real? Well,
he's not.
He's not. Well, he kind of is.
Kind of is. Yes,
he
Virginia.
kind of is.
Yes, Virginia.
Yeah, he kind of is. Let's go to Rich. Rich, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
Good afternoon, young man, I should say.
What's up, man?
Nothing. How you doing?
I'm good.
Anthony, yourself?
I'm good. We had a good weekend of basketball. We got a good week coming up, and we're excited about it.
Man, I had caught games on one of the local B channels on Friday night. There's some good hardwood floor stuff going on here.
Yeah, it's we were about to get into the tournament draw with the girls and who got seeded, who got some favorable matchups and whatnot. But yeah, I'm excited for the upcoming tournament for boys and girls. I think this is going to be an awful lot of fun.
Well, especially at a time when people don't have a lot to do. Some of our, should I say, free time is curtailed. So this is a good outlet. They should be packing these people in if they allow them. I don't know what the, what the occupancy.
Well, it's not going to be.
It's not going to be full capacity.
Yeah, you're not going to be full capacity in any way, shape, or form. But the water is nice at YSN, so everyone can jump in and experience basketball YSN style.
You still go back to those swim clubs, huh?
Well, I mean, listen, we're drowning in ratings around here, so let's get some more people here.
Hey, have you heard when you were back on the dial? You used to enjoy calls from Kevin. He had that bass voice that he was one of your
yeah. I haven't heard from Kevin in years.
Kevin's not here. I just had to do that for the Home Alone fans.
There you go.
No, good one. Well, I'm still trying to get psyched up for pitchers and catchers, and it's not working.
Well, you got 13 days. Well, and by the way, speaking of, you might have more than 13 days. The union has been given a proposal by ownership where ownership wants to start the season at the end of April, have 154 games, have an expanded postseason, a designated hitter league-wide, and the union is expected to say hell no to that today. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, boy. Well, here we go. What could I say? Another snafu. At this point, I'm concerned about a lot of the guys, just not playing again this year. Look how many took off last year, and my hat's off to them. They just waived their salary for a year to avoid this COVID, but I'm not sure it's going away, guys.
Well, I think it's gotten a whole lot better, and I think that the vaccines, which are starting to come out a little bit quicker, and I think that by the summertime, everyone who wants a vaccine should be able to get access to a vaccine. So I think that we're going to be in better shape this year than we were last year, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of baseball players or professional athletes in that matter. I don't see a lot of them bailing like they did this past year.
I hope you're right. All right, Kodak moment of the day. This is a Kodak baseball moment. Kirk Gibson ran at second base after the monumental home run to beat the Oakland Athletics in a World Series game.
Yeah. The moving the hand as if he was an umpire calling a third strike. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that entire at bat was phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. I mean, that's one of the great at bats of all time.
Well, and the backstory on all of that was he was so susceptible to a fastball, but he got the scouting report that with 2 strikes, if he had 2 strikes on him, the scout told him, "Hey, as God is my witness, you're going to get a slider when he has 2 strikes on you. You're going to get a slider." And Kirk Gibson remembered it, and sure enough, Eckersley threw a slider. Gibson knew the pitch. He guessed in the area, guessed right, and deposited it over the right field wall.
Amazing. I forget how many pitches it took to try to get him out, but that was a phenomenal at bat. My hat's off to Kirk Gibson. And the guy should have been wheelchaired out there. He was in bad shape.
Oh yeah, he was.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he was. He was definitely in bad shape. Anthony with the hold on a second. Shh. 8 pitches, by the way. It was an 8-pitch at bat.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's the Kodak moment of the day. I'll get a hold of you in a couple.
All right, brother. See you
later.
All right. 330-886-0813.
The Kodak moment of the day.
Kodak moment of the day. I think we might have a sponsor on that.
Kodak, do they even exist anymore?
I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it. All right, let's go to Division 4 first.
Well, before we do have some breaking news that DJ brought in while Tony was on the air. Poland boys are going to be shut down until the 18th. Jefferson had a positive test. They played them twice last week.
Oh, boy.
So for precaution, Poland's going to be
shut down until the 18th.
Taking a pause.
All right, so that's today's the first.
Unless I read that text wrong.
All right, today's the first. You shut down for 2 weeks. You're looking at the 15th. But then again, 16th. Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
so you get shut down.
You
get shut down for 2 weeks. You'll play on Tuesday the 16th. Okay, so they'll probably be able to play 1 or 2 regular season games.
Right.
And then just go from there. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does. Most definitely.
And then you got to think Liberty might be, because I know there wasn't a test in Poland. It's because of Jefferson, but you played them right after they played Jefferson.
Well, that's kind of the same thing with Lisbon.
It's like, how do you?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Lisbon. Leetonia got shut down because of a positive test from East Palestine, and Leetonia played them. Well, they didn't know until after the Lisbon game, so Lisbon hasn't shut down because they just looked and said, okay.
You just have to be precautionary in the next day or two to make sure no one gets.
And I think the other thing is we're going to monitor what Poland is doing. If you're Liberty, you're going to monitor what Poland's doing.
Right.
If Poland tests anyone positive, then Liberty's going to definitely get shut down. Much like if Leetonia had tested anyone positive, Lisbon would have been shut down. From what I understand, nobody tested positive.
And by the way, Liberty boys are going to be an interesting team come tournament time.
You
I've
think?
got a chance to watch them on Saturday. They're streaky.
Yeah.
They can be really inconsistent at times.
Yeah.
But that James Davis,
Yeah.
he can get his shot whenever he wants to. And they have Omarion Dawson in the inside. That's a big body to deal with.
And
I think they can be very, very tricky to kind of play if they catch a hot streak.
Marion Dawson is about 6'3", but he plays more like 6'8" because he has long arms and he can jump. And he blocked, and I kid you not when I say this, a dozen shots.
Against Poland, they had so many blocks.
Yeah.
And I think this KJ Turner kid off the bench, I really like his game too. So I think there's a lot of bright spots for Liberty.
Liberty boys and girls are going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because the girls, I raved about that team when they ran Crestview off the floor with a bunch of freshmen. I raved about that team. And
their window, unfortunately for Liberty, I mean, they had a really good team last year, a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for them, Crestview got the better of them in the tournament.
Yep.
So
We'll see what happens. All right, let's run D4 first before we do anything else. No surprise that McDonald is the number 1 seed. And I think that's that was pretty.
Yeah, they're the 1 seed.
Pretty.
They're playing in the Northeast 1 district.
Yes.
And they're matched up with the regional, the Northeast 2. So it's going to be both our local teams going to be matched up in the regional semifinals.
All right. So of the top 5 or top 6 seeds, McDonald is going to be joined by Newton Falls is a 3.
And Bristol the 5.
And Bristol is the 5, exactly.
So those are the 2 next highest seeds. Newton Falls, obviously, on the bottom of the bracket. They'll play Sebring, who's the 14 seed, and then the winner of that will play
Lowville,
who's the 12.
Yeah. So Lowville gets a bye into the sectional championship game, which that's the good news. The bad news is you're probably going to wind up playing Newton Falls. Although, and you know, I've seen Lowville play a couple of times. Lisa Rotuno-Medelski's kids, if they catch fire from 3-point range, they're not an easy out if those kids catch fire from the perimeter, but they don't have an inside presence.
I think their best player for Lowville is Savannah Prochik, their point guard number 4. She can shoot really well. She can get in there and rebound as a point guard, which is something that you like to see. I think the Capola girls are both good rebounders for them. There's a lot to be excited about. There's no seniors on the team. They're going to come back next year with the exact same roster. I really like Sammy Moore. I think there's a lot to be excited about, especially since everyone knows next year the MVAC is really wide open because McDonald loses a lot, Western Reserve loses a lot. So next year you got to think the teams like Jackson Milton, the teams like Waterloo, the teams like Lowville, Springfield are all going to be looking at the top of the MVAC thinking this could really be obtainable.
Yeah. Here's an intriguing matchup between 2 Christian schools in the bottom bracket. Valley Christian is the 9 seed. They're going to play Heartland Christian, the 17 seed. The winner of that game is going to get number 5 Bristol.
Most of the time, 9 versus 17, you'd be thinking, what's so interesting about that? But Heartland plays a independent schedule.
Yes.
And Maddie Matthews can go get whatever she wants whenever she wants. So can Kristen Gill. So it's going to be 2 players going up against each other that can score incredible amounts of points and put both teams on their backs. So it's going to be a really fun matchup between those 2 and see who kind of comes out on top.
The other one, as we go to the top bracket, Springfield is the 8th seed. They get number 20 Lordstown, with the winner of that game getting number 18 Matthews.
Springfield could host 2 games.
Yes.
That's big for the Tigers.
Yeah. Now, one would think, this shouldn't be a problem. Springfield should be able to get Lordstown, then they'll take care of Matthews, and then they'll just go into the district semifinals. Well, Springfield's been up and down this year. When they're on, I think they give. I think if they're on, they not only go to districts, they give McDonald a nightmare.
One of the really important things for Springfield is getting Abby Joseph back and healthy because that's an important piece for them. But I think, Matthews is a team that showed a lot this weekend, pushing Latonia all the way to overtime.
Yes.
I wouldn't sleep on the Mustangs. They can be a solid team. They can hold people down on defense, and so I wouldn't sleep on Matthews, even if Springfield's able to win that game against Lordstown and host Matthews. I wouldn't sleep on them.
All right, McDonald is the top seed. In theory, you would think that they have a pretty easy matchup. Number 22, Warren JFK. The winner of the game gets number 24, and the last seed of the entire Division IV tournament, Chalker. Here's the thing with JFK. They haven't played many games this year, and that might be an advantage for JFK because nobody really knows the scouting report on that team.
If they weren't playing McDonald.
If they weren't playing McDonald, I'd really like their chances, but they're playing McDonald, unfortunately.
That's a tough draw. If you were JFK, you're probably hoping for 18, 19, 17, somewhere in that range where you can maybe win a couple games, but you're matched up against McDonald round 1. That's just a tall mountain to climb.
I mean, it's not it's not impossible, but the odds are pretty much stacked against Warren JFK girls. There's no two ways about that.
Oh, yes. And then you go to the Northeast 2 district where you get the rest of the seeds.
Hang on a second.
Well, you got more.
Well, yeah, but, I want to pull out some predictions here before we even go in.
You want to play a little bracketology?
Yeah, so we're going to play bracketology here. I mean, are we pretty much in coherency that McDonald's going to play Springfield in the district semifinals?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's going to be what's going to happen on the top of that bracket.
Okay. Bottom of the brackets. Is Newton Falls a safe bet? And is Bristol a safe bet?
I'm going to say the winner of that Valley and Heartland game can upset Bristol, and they'll be playing Newton Falls in the district semis.
I honestly think Valley Christian is good enough to get that done. I don't know if Heartland is. It just depends on whether they can get a second and third option for when Maddie is ultimately double teamed or has a box and
that's
one.
That's going to be Valley Christian's problem too. I mean, if Kristen Gill gets face guarded, they're going to have to find another option.
Well, there's a couple of options on Valley's team, but they're sporadic.
There are a couple options on both, but it's like a shining star and then role players.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, every team that plays them is going to box and one, or some use of that defense where they face guard Kristen Gill, they face guard Maddie Matthews, and they make someone else beat them.
Sure.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see when those two teams go up against each other. They're both going to do it, and then what's going to happen. But I think the winner of that game, I think they can upset Bristol and get to the district semifinals, and we would love that because that would be an all-YSN district semis.
Now, let me ask you, if you're the head coach at Valley or the head coach at Heartland, do you put your superstar on their superstar and say, go at it, you guys are going to go one-on-one?
Oh, yeah, I would. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
you put your best against their best.
Look, I mean, obviously, you're going to be running around trying to chase her down, and you're going to be the beneficiary when you're running around of hopefully your team setting up picks and screens. Well, the same thing is going to happen. So you're going to be exhausted trying to chase that opponent down, and maybe the offense gets a little bit off because you're chasing that fellow superstar player down. But give me that mano-mano matchup every day of the week. I would do it too.
So I got Valley going to the district semifinals against Newton Falls, and then I have Springfield going against McDonald.
I'm with you.
Those are my Northeast Final Four.
I'm with you on that one. All right, let's go to Northeast 2. And by the way, the Northeast 1 will play Northeast 2 in the regional semifinals. You want to
predict this whole bracket?
We will in a little bit.
Okay.
All right, Northeast 1 will play Northeast 2 in the regional semifinals, which I think is intriguing. But we'll just wait on that. Okay, so here are the upper bracket of the Northeast 2. Berlin Center Western Reserve gets the 2 seed. No surprise. They'll play number 23 Wellsville. The winner of that game gets number 21 Ashtabula St. John. Maplewood is the 7 seed. They will host number 16 Lisbon. The winner of that game getting number 13 Southern. This is an intriguing matchup in the bottom tier. Middlefield Cardinal is going to be making the long, and I do mean long trip down to Bear Country as they take on Leetonia. And the winner of that game is going to take an equally long trip to East Canton to take on the Wizards, who are the 4 seed. And then in the extreme bottom, Badger is the 19 seed. They will go to North Jackson to play number 6 Jackson Milton. Wyndham will either get Badger at home or travel to Jackson Milton. All right, let's take a look at this. First on the top. No disrespect to Wellsville, no disrespect to Ashtabula St. John, but if Western Reserve loses either one of these games, that might be the story of the year in high school basketball.
You can say the same thing about McDonald. I mean, when these super districts are set up for the 1 and 2 seeds to get to at least the district semis. because the way the teams pick the places, it almost forces the lower seeds to take the 1 seed and then take the bye.
Yeah.
Which means boop boop. It's almost like a double jump in checkers. So that's the unfortunate thing about these super districts is sometimes those lower seeds don't get a chance to win a tournament game. They have to go up against a 1 seed, and then all of a sudden you have a bye. But we're also going up against the 1 seed again. So it's a double dip of the 1 seed or the 2 seed or whatever it may be. So, yeah, I mean, if any of these top seeds that we're talking about lose before the district semis, it'd be a big story in any district, any division.
Now, let's also throw in the $1 million question. How many of these teams are going to be passing COVID tests? And you knock on
all
wood.
Of them,
Exactly. You knock on wood and you hope and pray, especially the higher seeds, because they've had a great year to get to those really high seeds. You knock on wood for everyone and say, all right, hopefully no COVID outbreaks, because much like in football, if you have a COVID outbreak, your season is over. Sorry about your luck.
But remember, we had no shutdowns and no canceled games in volleyball.
That's true.
So there might be something to it about indoor tournaments. I don't know what it was, but we had no cancels in volleyball at all. That tournament went off without a hitch, and they got it done. So hopefully basketball goes the exact same way.
I hope so. All right, so we're both in agreement. Western Reserve moves into the district semifinals.
Yes.
Who they play, this is an intriguing matchup. Maplewood taking on Lisbon. When Lisbon is on their A game, they can be fun to watch. It's just, unfortunately, they don't get on their A game all that often this year. But when they're on their A game, they're fun to watch.
They are, and that's what makes them dangerous is the 18th seed because, it might be overlooked a little bit because Maplewood might be looking and saying, hey, we got Southern, we have to deal with Ashley Schroeds, and then all of a sudden Latonia comes up and sneaks on them and beats them.
By the way, they did a real nice job on her. Just 12 points.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
That was the big reason why the Bears were able to get the victory over Southern. I don't know
So
what
it's
Coach
a great
Ritz
team.
did.
I wish I had the tape on that. I mean, I should have watched it. It's hard to watch games for me because I'm doing games every night.
There
so
you go.
It's hard to go back and watch a couple. But, yeah, I wish I knew more about East Canton in this district because I would like to know how these teams at the bottom match up with the 4 seed. I really don't know a lot about East Canton. I haven't gotten to see them play.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're deserving of the 4 seed or if they're kind of just a really good record or what they're about. But I really wish I knew more about that 4 seed so I could really make a decision on whether or not Jackson Milton or maybe even Latonia could do against them in the sectional finals in the district semis.
Well, I'm going to throw this out here. Cinderella lives in the top bracket, and she lives in Salineville. I think Southern is going to be playing Western Reserve in the district semifinal.
Okay, so you have them beating.
I have them beating
The winner of
Maplewood.
Okay.
Yeah, I have them beating Maplewood.
If Ashley Schroeds gets loose,
Yeah,
that's definitely a possibility.
and I think that's a situation that I think could very well happen. And I don't think that Southern has the height to deal with Western Reserve, but Southern's game is the perimeter game. If they are on in their perimeter game, oh man, are they tough to beat.
Yeah, and Ashley Schroeds, even though he held her to 12 points, she still had a double-double.
Yeah,
She can get in there and rebound.
That's true.
And if you can keep Danny Volatich off the offensive glass, that is half the battle to beating Western Reserve.
exactly.
So many of their points come off of her getting offensive rebounds, whether it be her putting it back or her outloading it to a wide-open three-point shot.
Yeah.
A lot of their points come off of her offensive rebound. So if you can cut those in half or even cut them down by a third, then that's your first step. You have a lot more steps to go to beat Western Reserve. But that would be the first step.
Okay, Middlefield Cardinal is the 11 seed. They're going to be going to Leetonia to take on number 10 Leetonia. And let me just say this right now.
Get it, Bears. Get it.
Leetonia is one of the better 10 seeds on this whole thing. they would have been a much higher seed. People need to
Well,
understand.
the problem was that they lost to United. And
Well, people need to understand. Taryn Ferry was out for about 2 weeks, and they went into the toilet and lost 3 or 4 games in a row while she was getting her appendix taken out. This is a very impressive team. It has its warts, especially in the inside game. But this is an impressive Leetonia team that I think they're poised to go to the district semifinals. And I'm with you. East Canton might pose a very large problem. And East Canton historically plays a damn good schedule year in, year out. And certainly Leetonia's got their
so I just got
work cut out for
I just
them.
got some great info from one of our girls' basketball sources. East Canton had a big win this year, 68-60 over Fairless. Fairless gave West Branch a heck of a game at West Branch earlier this season. So I am going to say that East Canton is a 4 seed.
Yeah, you kind of have my that's kind of a
that got my attention real good.
yeah that gets my attention too. I think for Leetonia to advance to get out of the first round, they're going to need a balanced game. Ella Gregorino, Taryn Ferry, they're going to have to both be on point. But the inside game, Samantha Schneider. There was a game in which she was 1 rebound away from setting a school record. She ripped down 23 rebounds in a game.
School record.
And
24 is
24 is the school record.
Wow.
She ripped down 23, and Coach Ritz was unaware that she was so close to the record. And he looked at that, and he's like, man, I took her out of the game with 4 minutes left in the game. I should have left her in. I said, well, Coach, I mean, you didn't know that, whatever. I mean, I think if Leetonia gets an inside presence and they continue to box out and play good fundamental basketball, which is very much what Coach Ritz teaches up there, they have a shot. But, yeah, East Canton is that.
After I heard what they did to Fairless.
Yeah, that's impressive. You beat a team that's on that level. That's pretty impressive. So I hate to say it.
When you look at Latonia, I think Latonia's 10 seed is, they should be happy with it.
Well, given the fact that they went on a 4-game losing streak during the year, sure.
Because Valley's 8.
Yeah.
And Valley's ahead of him in the OAC.
Yep.
And then United's a 10 seed in Division 3.
Yeah.
Who's also ahead of them in the EOAC.
Yeah.
So I think being a 10 seed in Division 4, Latonia should be very happy with that. I think they could have fallen further.
Oh, absolutely.
If coaches wanted them to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, especially, I think people might have looked at the start of Latonia and maybe broke down with their record and said, there's something fishy about losing the games they did after the start they had.
Yeah,
and
it's called Taryn Ferry being in the hospital for appendix.
So I think I think the 10 seed, they deserve it absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think with the voting being as spread out as it is, I think they should be really happy with it.
It's kind of a crappy draw for them though, because I kind of wanted them to get a better. I mean, the first round opponent's going to be pretty tough as is. The second round opponent, they got to travel and go to the 4 seed. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a tough when you're the 10. You kind of get the short end of the stick on this. So sucks for Leetonia, but
6 and 7 picked this bracket, and so an 8 went to the other one.
Yeah.
So United could have gone up to the McDonald bracket, and maybe they would have hosted 2 games.
Well, United's a 3, aren't they?
I mean Latonia.
Yeah, Leetonia could have done that.
Latonia could have went because they were 10.
Yeah.
And 6 and 7 already came down here to the Western Reserves, so they might have had a chance to host. Let's see. I mean they probably would have gotten. They could have gotten the 12 seed off that bye and hosted 2 games.
Yeah.
For Latonia,
or
they might have taken that bye that the 12 seed got. They could have. And then they would have been in the sectional. So either way, they host one game. It's just. You host a sectional final if you're up there in McDonald's.
Yeah.
And you host a sectional semi.
I think the beautiful thing with this, when you look at the top 2 seeds, Western Reserve and McDonald, they're 2 completely separate teams. And then you got to realize, okay, which one do we match up with better? Do we match up with McDonald or Western Reserve better? Whichever team we match up better with, we're going to go at them and hope and pray that we're in the bottom bracket and we get them in the district championship.
And another thing I just noticed that if Latonia took that top bracket, they probably would have had to play Newton Falls first draw.
Yeah, that would have.
And I think Latonia would wanted to, because they're a pretty young team, right? Taryn Ferry's a senior, but
She's a senior,
but,
but Ella Gregorino's a sophomore.
right.
There's a couple of sophomores and juniors.
We'll
on
talk
the team.
about this as we go on, but it's interesting because I think some of the young teams picked the bracket based on where they could get a couple wins just to build the future.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that's what Latonia did. I mean, they see they can win. It's a very winnable game. It's 10 versus 11. It's going to be tough, but that's a experience building game. And then if they win that, and if they happen to beat East Canton, which I think they thought was a better chance than Newton Falls if they looked at it. So if they get that win and get into the district semis, win or lose at that point, great experience for a young team coming back next year.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously the coaching staff knows something about this, that they're not doing this blind. All of the coaching staffs know something about the programs. Okay.
You don't say.
Well, you'd think. I mean, nobody's going into that blind. I mean, that's that would be.
It's really funny how teams went into, we'll talk about D3 soon. How teams went into this D3 bracket and how drastically the voting changed based on a certain Saturday game results and people looking at the stat book. Because I've had some reliable sources inside that voting that told me that there were some very interesting conversations based on what happened Saturday and how that infected where people wanted to go.
I wholeheartedly agree. We'll get into that when we get into the Division 3. Let's close out bottom tier of Division 4, the 2 district. Jackson Milton is the 6th seed. They will play Badger in North Jackson. If they win, they'll host Wyndham.
I think they have an easy route right to the district semis.
Yeah. So you got Jackson Milton taking on East Canton. And do you have Maplewood or do you have Southern in the top?
I'm going to have Maplewood.
Okay.
I think Southern's just, I think Schroeder just needs another year of.
Okay.
She's had really impressive. 51 points.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. 38 points in your season opener, but still, I think she just needs more development. They need more around her, and I think they go on and
so you're a chalk person in the in the 2 district.
I am.
All right, I'm going to go Western Reserve.
Not really, because I think Jackson Milton gets to the district semis. Oh, no, that's chalk.
That's chalk. Yeah.
I think Jackson Milton wins that next game.
All right. So you got Western Reserve going up against Maplewood. I'm going to stick up for the EOAC. I got Western Reserve taking on Southern. And I'm going to re-stick up for the EOAC, and maybe it's me because I'm a Latonia grad and I'm thinking more with my heart than my intellectual basketball stuff. But I'm gonna fingers crossed and say go Bears and trust that my Bears will not only beat Cardinal but they'll upset East Canton. And I'm with you with Jackson Milton. A Latonia Jackson Milton semifinal, a Western Reserve Southern semifinal. So, all right, back to one. Who do you got?
That's from So McDonald wins against Springfield.
Okay.
And what did we have? I had Valley beating Bristol, and I think Newton Falls plays McDonald in the district championship.
Yeah, I'm gonna go along with that.
That's chalk.
It's chalk. I'm going to go along with that. At some point
with these districts, it's going to end up being chalk with the supersized districts.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. And then in the you have East Canton taking on Jackson Milton. You have Western Reserve playing Maplewood.
I think that I have Reserve and Jackson Milton round 3 in a district championship game. I think Jackson Milton has enough. And we're throwing some love at the YSN schools, and that's not going to be lost.
Yeah.
I know East Canton got the big win against Fairless. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. They could have had a really good day.
Sure.
I don't know. I like Jackson Milton. I like Kylie Wilson. I like Chelsea Williams. I think they can get to the district championship and play Western Reserve for a third time.
God, I hate to throw the Bears under the bus in the district semifinals, but I got
you
to.
got them there.
I got to throw them under the bus in the district semifinals. Just getting to the district semifinals would be an amazing accomplishment, but I'm with you. I got to go Western Reserve and Jackson Milton. And oh, by the way, this is not going to be a shock to anyone. Western Reserve and McDonald regional semifinals.
Oh, round 3.
Yeah.
By the way, we didn't even talk about their game on Saturday that went into overtime. And
Yeah.
also, we just want to pass along how happy we are to see Coach Matizzi back on the sidelines where he belongs.
Yeah, he was back on the sidelines the
Thursday.
game before and really wasn't,
No, he was there and he coached a little bit, but
Yeah.
but Saturday you could tell he's back. He's doing what he usually does, and we're happy to see him in a lot better health,
Yes.
and happy to see him back with his team. And the team played like very relentless, very you could tell they were playing for a little bit something more on Saturday because. Honestly, I think if Matizzi wasn't there, maybe they get outlasted by Western Reserve in overtime. But I think that extra boost of energy that having their coach back gave them might have given them an extra boost in overtime to beat Western Reserve.
Okay, let's run to the other two brackets, and then we'll take a timeout and get Ballish in here.
Right, and this is
then-
interesting because remember we talked about on Thursday that there was only 3 Northeast brackets.
Yeah.
So who did they pull into that 4th?
They
in the
pulled
region?
the River team to the south of Columbiana County, where Shady Side is the number 1 seed. Malvern is the 4. Woodsfield Monroe Central is the 2. New Philadelphia Tuscarora Central Catholic. So Tuskegee Central Catholic is the 3 seed. From what I understand, Tuskegee Central Catholic is pretty good,
Well, I
which
think,
leads me to believe that Woodsfield, Monroe, and Shady Side have to be really good.
I think Northeast 3 is very interesting because I was wondering, Cornerstone Christian, Dalton, and who's the other one I'm leaving out?
Yeah, well, Loudonville gets the 1 seed.
Loudonville, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of.
Loudonville gets the 1 seed, which I think is crazy.
I thought that, but Buckeye Central isn't going to be in their region this year, which is who won that region last year and knocked Dalton, who beat McDonald out of the regionals in the regional final to go to the state semifinals.
Yeah.
So interesting to see that Buckeye Central moved out of the region.
Well, Loudonville has a very intriguing second-round matchup. Should they beat Richmond Heights, spoiler alert, they will, they will take on a really, really good Willoughby Andrews Osborne basketball team, which is seeded number 6, which tells you just how impressive this field is. Dalton is the 3.
And then they'll probably be playing Dalton in the district semis.
Yeah, they probably will. And then you got Cuyahoga Heights as the 4.
Then you got Cornerstone up there. On the
And
other
Cornerstone is the 2. They get the winner of Fairport Harbor and Hartfield
end.
Lake.
Right, all 4 of those teams, really, the Dalton, Cornerstone, Loudonville, and Willoughby,
Yeah.
could all win that district.
Honestly, I think the winner of the 1 and
And the
2,
winner-
which we believe is McDonald Western Reserve, we both agree with that. Assuming it's chalk, whoever wins that game is probably
They're
going
playing-
to be playing.
I'm going to say it. They're playing whoever comes out of that district.
Yeah, they're probably going to be playing whoever comes out of this district.
Mm-hmm.
I, with all due respect to Shady Side, with all due respect to the schools on the river south of us, this is the Cleveland area. Cleveland has much better basketball by and large. I would be willing to throw out and say this region is going to be a regional championship appearance against the winner of our local teams, which if it's chalk, it's the winner of McDonald Western Reserve.
Yeah, and Loudonville, I find it hard-pressed to bet against them because we got to see them play Waterloo earlier in the season. And they're really a strong program. And it's a tough district, but I wouldn't bet against Loudonville to win it.
Well, Cornerstone Christian, year in, year out,
I
has
know.
an ungodly program.
keep
Pun
get-
intended, by the way.
I keep getting told that they're still good. They're still very formidable.
Yeah.
But I keep getting told that they're not the Cornerstone Christian that it was dominant and very beatable.
Are you saying they're a wolf in sheep's clothing?
I think they are.
Biblical humor at its finest here, kids. What can I tell you?
And if that went over your head, get back to Sunday school.
Yeah, get back to Sunday
heathen.
school or get back to reading if that went over your head, okay?
You heathen.
All right, almost 1 hour in the books.
Yeah, we spent an hour on Division 4.
Well, we did take some phone calls,
Let's
too,
go.
so there you go. We will speed it up once we get
We'll
Balish
get Dana
in here.
on, and then we'll get his thoughts on all the brackets, and then when he gets off, we'll go right to Division 3.
And then we'll go 65 and a 40, which I haven't done in a...
You would never do that,
Hang on a
right?
second. I haven't done that in a long time. 330-886-0813. Balish coming up in a bit. It is a Monday edition of Running Point. Back in a bit.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Klim from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig, joining us as he does every Monday about this time on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. We bring in 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Dana, how are you today, sir?
Doing well, Ron. Yourself?
I'm doing good. How surprised were you at the seedings? Was there anything with girls basketball? Was there any seedings that kind of surprised you in a good way or in a not so good way?
No, I mean, I think when you leave it to the coaches, that's the best way to do it. I mean, they see these teams, they know about the players, they know about the opponents, and I think that's the fairest way. So, no, I mean, I think, you know, when you combine a couple of districts, I know in Division II you got 27 teams. You know, I like the idea. I really, really do. And, you know, coaches always kind of voted on the seedings. And, you know, you go from there. No, nothing surprises me from the girls. I think, you know, McDonald deserved the number one seeding in Division IV. Western Reserve right behind them at 2. I thought South Range deserved, you know, a high seed in Division III, and you know, I think Poland in Division II is really, you know, record-wise is one of the most complete teams in D2. So, no, I thought the coaches really, really did a good job, Ron. And to be honest, I kind of hope this format stays.
Yeah, I love this format, mainly because I think it gives more local teams the chance to get to a regional. I mean, now you're looking at McDonald and Western Reserve. They don't have to play each other in a district championship. They can both go to a regional game. And, you know, you talk about the same thing in Division, you know, in Division 2 with, you know, Salem, Marlington, and Poland. You know, Salem and Poland don't have to play each other. So there's a lot of opportunities for multiple local teams to go to a regional and not have to knock each other out in the district.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you combine two districts, you have some teams from outside the area, so you have hopefully somewhat of a decent chance of advancing a couple of teams. But I think, look, this has been one of the strangest basketball seasons that we've seen, and I credit the coaches because, look, if you're gonna, if you're gonna, well, however you want to phrase it, you got to do it to that coach face to face, through virtual meetings. So I like this idea. I really, really do.
Dan Wallace, 21 Sports Director, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I kind of expected some shenanigans in terms of, well, we're going to try to adjust this a little bit. I didn't see any shortcomings in terms of how a team is perceived by all of the coaches. I thought the coaches did a really, really good job in terms of honestly putting the teams in its proper area.
Well, and again, I think when the coaches vote, I think that's the best. I mean, and again, they've always voted. I really, really like the idea and the format that they're using. Is there surprise? I don't know if I don't know enough about the teams from outside the area to know if there's any surprises. And to be quite honestly, I mean, it's so tough to get a read on some local teams just because, they're playing 1 week, they're off for, 14 days. So, look, it's what the tournament's all about. Everyone gets in and, you see what happens.
Dana, as we flip over to college basketball, Youngstown State losing a pair to Detroit Mercy. It gets tiring after a while to say, well, we'd be such a better team if Darius Quisenberry hadn't been hurt. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. I don't think that YSU would have lost either game had Quisenberry been healthy. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and you got to play with what the cards you've been dealt with.
Yeah, and again, I mean, does one person make a team? I don't know. I mean, you could say what you want. I know it's not an excuse for Coach Calhoun. Look, you're 4-8 in the conference. I think you're 4-10 overall, or 5-10 overall, and you just got to play out the season. And it's pretty much a wash, Ron. Because all these players will have the opportunity to come back next year. They don't lose a year, so. I don't know. It's like I said, it's a hard season. It's a hard team to figure out. I mean, I think if you look at any team, it's just hard to figure them out. In case of the YSU men, they've had some opportunities when they need the big shot. They just can't come up with that big shot. And I'm not saying Quisenberry would have made, would be the guy to make those shots or whatever. I mean, it's the way the ball bounces. I think in one of the games this weekend, YSU had a golden opportunity to take the lead late. They turned the ball over. Those are just mistakes you're going to make. And, I know you didn't practice in November and so on and so forth, and you've been paused. I mean, this is January now. So I think, again, it's a cliche, but you play with the cards you're dealt with and either move on or, take a step back.
When you look at, like you said, you got to play with what you got. And at what point does not having Darius Quisenberry become a little bit, it becomes an excuse instead of a legitimate reason? I mean, you can't let that mentality feed into the players as much as the media has been pushing. Oh man, if only we had Darius Quisenberry. How do you kind of do you think the team has fended that off and that mentality off, or do you think it's kind of leaked into the team mentality a little bit?
Well, every week we ask Coach Calhoun, when does he expect Quisenberry back, and I guess the problem that I have with this, look, you have other injured players who are with the team, so why isn't Quisenberry with the team? So. I think that, and again, we were told, he's working with a specialist down in the Dayton area. Well, I think they're specialists up here too. So, Darius Quisenberry not being with the team, does that send a message? I don't know. I mean, I'm not around, enough, but there's other injured players who are in street clothes who are with the team. So, I think it's something that, if Quisenberry comes back, and again, my personal opinion is that's a big if in my book. Coach Calhoun said last week he was expecting him to be back in a couple of weeks. Well, is he going to be basketball ready? Is he going to be in game form? How many minutes is he going to be able to play? I mean, to be quite honestly, I think YSU has played very, very well without him, to be quite honest. I mean, they've been in just about every game. And again, if the ball bounces a couple of ways and YSU's 7-7 instead of 4-10 or 8-6, I mean, I don't even think we're mentioning Quisenberry's name. But because he's not there and they're not winning, obviously it's human nature for to be in the hypothetical situation of what if and but and all that sort of thing. So again, I think you're playing well without him. I think the big question is, will Darius Quisenberry come back next year? I think that's the big question.
Dan Abalis, go ahead.
I just don't know if we have an answer to that.
Dan Abalis joining us, I should say, on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Well, at least the women bounced back after losing on Friday. We'll blame Richie Giuliano for that loss, by the way. They come back and they win on Saturday, come from behind fashion. John Barnes' team in pretty good shape to get one of those 5 buys into the first round or into the second round of the conference tournament in a few weeks.
Yeah, and again, I just don't know, how they're going to seed. I think, look, you've got 4 wins against UIC. I don't think they're very good. I mean, I think the big question is, how are these teams going to be seeded? In the past it's been on record, but you can't do it on record this year just based on that everyone's not going to play the same amount of games. Again, I think they've gotten better. Are they where they want to be? Probably not, but we don't know where a team's going to be, going through this. I think, for any team, I don't care if it's college or high school or, grade school, you got to be thankful for the games you're playing. And if you're fortunate enough to get in a tournament, count those blessings. If you're fortunate enough to get into the big tournament, count those blessings again. I mean, I think everyone has done a remarkable job just to have a season. And, coaches are saying that a lot now because they know that for some of them the end is near. Look, within a month, or within 5 weeks, both teams could be done or both teams can continue to be playing.
When you think about, back to the high school tournament and, we'll see the boys come out on next Monday. We'll be talking about the boys tournament. Do you expect kind of the same thing that we saw from the girls where, pretty much the seedings are self-evident and the coaches know what they're doing and we'll see seedings where there's not a lot of big surprises and there's not a lot of big wonderings why teams got seeded the way they did?
I don't think so. I think, I think coaches are smart about it. As long as they do the voting the right way. I mean, in football, when we had this voting, we had a couple of guys who, voted the opposite way, and that affected some of the voting. But, look, if I'm playing and I'm in a district, I want the best team in my district to get the top seed because they're going to have the best chance to go to Columbus, and that's good for our district. So that's the mentality. I mean, when you've got 27 teams, and again, a lot of these coaches haven't played some of these teams that are in the district, and you got to be fair about that. And I think every coach here will be fair. Look, if you know who, look in Division II, Struthers, is and I don't know who's in that district, that mega district or whatever, but Struthers should be a top 3 seed. McDonald, again, another undefeated team, probably should be a top 3 seed. Anything after that, you just, you could look at records, you could see who they played. I mean, you could see the local teams here. You got a Poland team that probably has 3 or 4 losses, probably a top 5, maybe 6 seed in D2. You got to be fair about it, and I think if coaches are fair about it, then there's no problem.
Dana, before we let you go, a couple of things. First and foremost, the Curbstone coaches for a second straight year have postponed the Hall of Fame banquet. That's a really big to-do over at Mr. Anthony's on a year-in, year-out basis, and unfortunately, COVID once again getting the better of one of the premier events in the Youngstown area with the Curbstone Coaches Hall of Fame banquet.
Yeah, and they've canceled their weekly luncheons, up until September, for now. And again, it's just one of the situations that we're in. I mean, Ron, yesterday would have been, again, in normal times, and, the Curbstone coaches have always been good about hosting a high school football banquet. And in years gone by, they hosted that. That always came on the Sunday between, the conference championship games and the Super Bowl, so they've done a lot. It's a great organization. Excuse me. They want to promote the young kids and young women in our area, and they do a good job. And unfortunately, this is something beyond their control. And I think you'll see a lot of high schools cancel their Hall of Fame banquets as well. It's just you got to be safe, and certainly this is the second year in a row that they've had to do it, and in my opinion, it's the right decision to make because you've got to put safety first.
All right, before we let you go, I went to the umpires meeting yesterday. The Mahoning Valley Umpires Association met. We're pretty confident that we're going to get baseball and softball this year. Dana, how different do you think baseball and softball will be in terms of the rule changes and how they're going to make sure that everyone is respecting the social distancing and whatnot?
Well, Ron, keep in mind they played baseball and softball last year, not at the high school level, but in the summer they were able to do that. So I think the Ohio High School Athletic Association will probably fine-tune some of those rules, obviously giving the home plate umpire, the option to call balls and strikes from behind the pitcher. I think that's something that they'll look at. I think they're going to try to enforce social distancing within the dugout. They have to do that. So when you enforce social distancing, in the dugout, that also means you have to social distance, the fans, and it's going to have to be policed by administrators. And again, we've been down this road before. I mean, it's a common sense thing. I think the attitude has to be taken that if we have an opportunity to play, just like in basketball, you have an opportunity to play, you sell tickets, and X amount of people are allowed in. Now, baseball, you don't sell tickets per se, but I just think if parents, and again, look, the social distancing is nothing new to any of us. So if parents go out, and I've received no complaints about how basketball's being done. I've received no complaints. Administrators have been very, very good about it. And I think it's the same thing with football, Ron. You just have to be smart about it. Baseball's an outdoor sport. Softball's an outdoor sport. Track's an outdoor sport. So I think that there's some leverage there. And I think certainly, there will be a baseball season. There will be a softball season. There will be track and field. But again, I just think it has to be done cautiously. The school will make sure that the student athletes are doing it cautiously, but it's up to the parents to make sure they follow the rules so that those kids can continue to do it. And I think that's the big thing. Look, this is nothing new. Social distancing, wearing masks, it's part of the norm now. So just follow the rules, and I think everyone will be fine.
Dana, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you next week, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Dana Ballage, 21 Sports Director, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I will say this, if given an opportunity this year as an umpire, if I had my choice between going behind home plate and going behind the pitcher's mound, this is a no-brainer. I'm going behind the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, we talked about this when you were umpiring Class B. I mean, it's just one of those decisions. I think to make someone do it one way or the other would be kind of not right. I think you give people the choice. Say, if you want to do it this way, you do it this way. You don't have to, and you can do it the other way if that's where you're comfortable doing it. Because I think we're at the point with COVID where you can make it preference based.
Yeah.
Instead of mandate based when it comes to where umpires are going to stand.
And I think that, I'll feel a whole lot more comfortable if and when I get vaccinated. I think I just said a word that doesn't exist.
That doesn't exist?
Yeah, that doesn't exist. Once I get vaccinated, I think that I'll feel a whole lot better about it. Now, I'm low on the totem pole of vaccinations because we're nobodies. The healthcare workers and the senior citizens are way ahead of everyone, and they should be.
Mm-hmm. If you're only like 10 years older, right?
No, thank you.
No,
thank you. I'm already old. So look, I mean, I'll be a lot more comfortable once I get vaccinated, but right now, I'll be honest, and it's not because 2 years ago I suffered a concussion behind home plate. That's not the reason. I would be a lot more comfortable behind the pitcher's mound because this is a really interesting virus that I want no part of, and I don't want to bring it home.
The caveat, of course, that you just said it, that you live with your parents.
I don't want to bring that shit home to my folks. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So that's. Speaking of, my dad has knee replacement surgery today, so I would have gone to the hospital, but the old man looked at me and said, "Yeah, you're working today."
And like his perspective, if you're in the hospital, you're just going to be sitting and waiting anyway, so you might as well go get some work done.
So let's talk some sports instead. So there you go.
Let's do some Division III. Let's break.
Well,
this
actually,
thing
let's do a break first, and then we are
Pay
going
the
to
bills.
And then we're going to really go a 95 miles an hour in a 50, because who hasn't done that one before? I know I have. Been a while. Early 20s.
Never driving with wrong.
I'm not saying that it was. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do, but I've done mid 90s.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
I did mid 90s in a 55 before. That's like I said, I was young and stupid. 330-886-0813. I feel like I'm in confession. I should be calling you Father Anthony right now. You need the collar to.
Right here.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll take a timeout. Division III and a speeding ticket for me is forthcoming. Stick around. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
It's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Local teams are heating up the hardwoods, and you can keep up with all the action on and off the court with Five Guys Hoop News all season long on 21 Sports.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig, sharing stories about how we've been pulled over. And,
Not me.
Yeah, well, you were kind of an accessory to the pulling over.
I've been a pullover passenger.
Yeah,
I've never
you've been a pullover passenger.
We did go over. Remember when we had that police chief call back when we were doing a show about nothing?
Yes.
Because we were just curious if a guy in a wheelchair could get pulled over for being intoxicated.
An OVI.
That's what the summer running point was when we had nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to see if you or your cohort would take part in that, just to see if someone would actually do that. But
right.
You didn't have any takers, unfortunately. No. You know, because Lord knows I would have gladly paid for a half a case of beer and just seen if this would have worked.
Let's go.
But we'll digress. All right, Division 3. Let's get to the good stuff here. The Division 3 girls tournament, Northeast 1. So let's go to the top bracket where number 8, Fairport Harbor, Fairport Harding will be playing Hartville Lake Center Christian. Actually, hold on a second.
You're in the wrong district.
I'm in the wrong district.
Because that's what the 8 seed's LeBray.
Yeah, hang on a second. Did I seriously do that?
Well, you're finding the district. I'll just run it down. South Range
Here we go.
is the 1 seed, and they're playing Crestwood in round 1, which is the 21 seed. Winner of that game will play the 27 seed. So, we talked about this in Division 4. The supersized district is going to lend its hand to the top 2 seeds and kind of pave the way for them to get into the district semis.
Hang on a second. The Division 3 is actually the Northeast 2 versus Northeast 3 in the district.
We have to go 1 and 2.
Okay, so this is unlike in 4.
Right.
We could be seeing an all-regional championship game with local teams, which would be very interesting. Okay, now I'm on the same page with you. Garrettsville-Garfield is the 2 seed. They'll play number 19, St. Thomas Aquinas. The winner of that game getting number 20, Conneaut. And that's 2. Rootstown playing Grand Valley. Rootstown is the 9. Grand Valley is the 14. So that is the Northeast 2. Who do you like in these particular games here?
Well, the game I'm looking at in Northeast 2 is Kirtland and Liberty.
Yeah, that's in the bottom
7
bracket.
versus 11.
Yeah, there you go.
All
right,
just looking at the whole bracket.
Yeah, and okay, let's be honest. The top bracket, other than Garrettsville, Garfield, is filled with teams that we really don't know that much about.
Yeah, and
the G-men are number 2, so let's put them in the district semifinals.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're a solid 2 seed, and I don't see any of these teams. Maybe Rootstown will probably give them the best fight in the district semis.
All right, I'll put them in the district championship game. So let's go to the bottom bracket where this gets fun.
That's where it gets fun.
Yeah, Liberty is the 11. They're going to be taking on Kirtland, the number 7 seed. And I will tell you right now, if the freshmen are playing like a team that is not freshman mentality, they have a shot in this game.
Yeah, and the winner goes and plays Ursuline, who got the 5 seed, deserves the 5 seed with the schedule they play. And I think everyone in that district was hoping that Ursuline didn't get a seed below 7, because then they would have been put somewhere instead of having to pick somewhere.
Yeah.
And you would have been stuck playing Ursuline, and that would have been tough. But Ursuline's the 5 seed. They'll play the winner of Kirtland and Liberty, and champions the 4 down there. Everyone went into Garfield's district. the 4, the 5, the 6, I think, went down there too. No, 6 is up there. But Columbiana, Pymatuning Valley, that'll be an interesting sectional semifinal as well. We talked about Columbiana. They're playing really strong right now. They're starting to get things together. Grace Whitmer, great basketball player. Tori Long starting to put it together as well. So I think that both of these districts, 1 and 2, have really interesting bottom halves of the brackets.
I'm just going to pretty much say this right now. And I'm not a Columbiana fan by any stretch of the imagination, being a Leetonia grad. I think the Clippers have a damn good chance at running the table to the district championship game. Now, that's assuming that they play their caliber of basketball, which we haven't seen all year long. But when they're on, they can be as good as champion.
Yeah, but
they can get to the district semifinals, and then all bets are off when they play Ursuline. Because let's be honest, Ursuline, if I'm looking at this from a perspective of who I would put money on, which don't do that if you're a high school. If you're putting high school
they'd have
that,
to beat Ursuline in the district semis to get to the district finals.
My guess is Ursuline plays Garrettsville Garfield in the district championship game.
Ursuline are champion, I think, because champion still has Emma Gumont, who is just really hard to deal with. Might be a little bit overmatched for Columbiana to deal with her. And then if it ends up being champion Garfield, they just played a 2-point game.
Yep.
That would be fun to watch.
It would be.
If it's Ursuline Garfield, I think Ursuline just matches up really well with Garfield. I've seen both the teams play. I think that might be an Ursuline win by 10 or 20. But the trick is the champion Ursuline matchup. It's different because champion has a little bit of a different makeup.
Yeah.
And they match up a little bit better with Ursuline. So who comes out of that side will be very interesting for Garrettsville Garfield.
I'm not totally convinced that Ursuline gets past Liberty, assuming Liberty beats Kirtland, which is a big assumption because Liberty's got to go on the road.
Liberty, I don't think they have anyone that can guard Anissa Mormon.
Could you go high 2-3 zone defense and maybe do something there?
You could try, but Kara McNally can shoot pretty well, and you're going to give up open looks.
Yeah.
I think Ursuline is just more balanced. Even than, I know we saw Liberty do what they did to Crestview, but I think Ursuline is a lot more balanced than Crestview is. So I think Ursuline would beat Liberty, but I'm not convinced. I mean, Liberty still has to beat Kirtland. I don't know anything about Kirtland. But
and if Kirtland's as good as their football team, then, now that's...
Well, if Kirtland's as good as their girls' soccer team, that
also
won state,
pretty good.
Or their volleyball team that went to regionals.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have...
They got athletes.
So,
yeah. And they might be the team that we're sleeping on, which don't ever sleep on Kirtland.
And it's at Kirtland, so Liberty has to go up to Kirtland to play.
Yeah.
So I'm not convinced that Liberty will get past them. I hope so because it's a YSN school, and I love to see two YSN teams going in it for a chance at the district semis.
And we could be sleeping on Kirtland. Hell, they may be the team that goes to the district championship. Who knows?
If Kirtland beats Ursuline, then that's going to be an interesting game against Kirtland and Champion.
Yeah.
So
assuming Champion gets past Columbiana and Pie Valley, whoever wins that game. So I think this has the makings of a very entertaining district.
Interesting switch in both these two because both these brackets have one sectional final already built in because they have less teams.
Yes.
So there's already two teams that got a bye right to the sectional finals.
Yep.
And this one we're talking about, it's Rootstown and Grand Valley.
Yeah.
The 9 versus 14 already set as a sectional final.
Yeah, and Rootstown will have the home game. And then hope and pray that somebody beats Garrettsville Garfield so they would get another home game.
Rootstown's a really good team. That'd be dangerous. I think they might be a little bit underseeded at 9.
Yeah.
So
there's some teams that are underseeded in this bottom bracket. I'll just throw that out there right now.
So I think Rootstown might have something to say if they meet Garfield in the district semis.
It's not a guarantee that Garrettsville Garfield wins this bottom bracket.
It's a lot less clear than it was in Division 4 with the 2 seeders at Western Reserve.
Yeah, this is an interesting tournament bracket. And by the way, like we said, this Northeast 2 will match up against Northeast 3. To give everyone an idea of what Northeast 3 is, the top seed is Apple Creek Waynedale. They get the winner of Manchester and Canton Central Catholic, the 13 and the 16. The rest of that is pretty much a bunch of teams that are very low seeded. Nobody wanted any part of Apple Creek Waynedale. Yeah,
and I don't blame them. I mean, whoever gets out of that NE2, good luck. That's all. I mean, Waynedale's a heck of a team. A lot of people came into this season thinking, okay, the regional is going to be between South Range and Waynedale, and that's what everyone, if you ask people that really knew a lot about the scope of the whole region, I mean, those were the 2 teams they circled.
So. To give everyone an idea of how low these seeds are, Waynedale plays the winner of number 13 versus number 16. If Waynedale gets to the district semifinals, they'll get the winner of 9 and 10. The bottom tier in this district, you got the 6 seed Garfield Heights Trinity playing the winner of Orville, number 12, and number 15 Ashland Mapleton. Brooklyn is the 17 seed. They get the winner of Massillon Tuslaw, the 5 seed, and Wellington, the 18 seed. So really if it's chalk,
the highest seed is 5 outside of.
So if it's chalk, you're looking at the 1 seed playing the 5 seed.
So 3 and 4 went. Well, let's go over.
2, 3, and 4 decided to mosey over to the other district. So that pretty much tells you just how solid of a team Waynedale really is.
Waynedale's something else. They'll be strong.
Now, interestingly enough, that's where you're going to see Northeast 2 play, and that's the stacked bottom part of the district that includes Ursuline, Garrettsfield, Garfield, Champion. Are any of those teams good enough to knock out Waynedale?
Garfield is. They do have post players, and Waynedale's strengths is their post. I think Ursuline could compete against Waynedale because, once again, they have some height and they have some post presence. Everyone else, I mean, Emma Gumont is a post presence, but she doesn't have enough supporting staff, I don't think. So I think your best bet would be Garfield, and the second best bet would be Ursuline to get out of that district and compete against Waynedale.
Okay, before we get to the South Range top seed, let's go to who you could potentially be playing in the regionals. West Salem Northwestern's the 11 seed. They'll play Sullivan Black River, the 14 seed. The winner of that gets Elyria Catholic, the 2 seed. Elyria Catholic is the highest seed.
That's who beat South Range last year.
Exactly.
Finals,
this is the highest seed that will, if it's chalk, they would play in the regional semifinals against the winner of our local region, which we will talk about. Warrensville Heights is the 2 seed. They get Wickliffe. If they beat Wickliffe, they go to the district semifinals where they would play Elyria Catholic. That's a really tough district semifinal, but again, nobody wanted Apple Creek Waynedale. Nobody wanted to go into that area. Creston Norwayne is the 3. They're playing number 22 Oberlin. The winner of that game gets number 21 Rittman. You would think that Norwayne will get into the district semifinals.
I think Norwayne wins that district, to be honest.
Where they would play the winner of Independence. Independence plays the winner of Doylestown, Chippewa, and Sheffield Brookside, and it would be at Independence. So Creston Norwayne, you think wins this?
I think they do because, Elyria Catholic, they're still a strong they lost a lot of really big pieces last year. I know a lot of their big girls were seniors. I've heard that they're down compared to their premise to their caliber. I think Norwayne takes that district.
Okay. Let's scoot into to where it all matters, and here it is, the other side of the local side of Division 3. South Range is the top seed. They will get number 21, Manawa Crestwood. The winner of that game gets number 22, Mineral Ridge. Pretty safe to say, if COVID doesn't get South Range is going into
Don't speak that into existence, Ron.
Yeah, I know. I'm just and South Range people are already pissed at me from the fall. I don't want to. I'm not trying to be.
No.
We're gonna knock on wood and hope and pray that doesn't happen. So obviously, that's a pretty good chance South Range gets into the district semifinals. Here's where it gets interesting. Burton Berkshire is the 13 seed. Palestine is the 15 seed.
And that's the automatic sectional final.
That's the opponent of South Range. South Range, looking at this, is getting an easy play into the district championship.
This is, remember when before we went to break, I teased that there was a certain result on Saturday that made a lot of teams kind of decide last minute that they wanted to shift out of South Range's bracket, because there was everyone knows what South Range went through 2 weeks ago with 3 starters going down. And that, going into this weekend, reliable sources told me that coaches were really more willing to go play South Range if they were down 3 starters, and hey, let's take advantage of that.
Sure.
Well, Saturday they looked at the box score and saw Izzy Lamparty score 18 points in her return, and Bree Kohler come back, and so they're up 2 starters, not 3. The third is gone for the season. So all of a sudden, teams were like, and this is reliable sources having conversations in that area again. A lot of teams were like, "Nope." Once they, he said, he's like, we saw that box score, and once we understood that Izzy's back and she looks just as good as she did before she went down, 18 points, we're just gonna be like, oh, they're back to where they were.
Yeah.
Let's mosey on over to Garfield's district. So that's why I think you see 13-15 be at best South Range plays the 13 seed in the district semis.
which is crazy.
Right.
I mean, you've just given South Range a district championship appearance based on the numbers. Now, again, barring a monumental upset or, God forbid, COVID, South Range is in the district championship game. So we go to the other side of this.
This is when I think this bracket, this bottom bracket is
crazy good.
Yeah, so
this is a crazy good bottom bracket.
Because
okay.
if I was Crestview, which is the game where I would be really upset that Waterloo got put at 17, because they play in the same conference as Western Reserve and McDonald, which are the 1 and 2 seeds over there.
Yep.
So that's 2 of their losses. Another loss is to Laudonville, who's the 1 seed on the other bracket. They've played a lot of really good teams, and they're put at 17 because they don't have a great record. But I've watched Waterloo play, and they have the ability to be a really good basketball team. Now, they're streaky. They're inconsistent.
Yeah.
They have quarters where they make you look amazing, and then quarters where they go and they score 6 points. They're young. I get it. But if they show up and play Crestview as a 17 seed, that could be a very dangerous game, because I think Waterloo's more well-rounded than Crestview is, to be honest.
It's a scary good matchup, and I would hope that the kids at Crestview look at this and say,
"Don't be like 17 seed."
Yeah, don't even think about looking at this thinking, "Oh, we're playing the 17 seed. Right. This is no big deal." No, this is a team that can come out and kick your ass and end your season really quick.
It's going to be Krista Perry versus Brooke Waldeck is what it's going to be in that Waterloo Crestview matchup.
This is an absolute dynamite bottom bracket in the we don't want any part of South Range bracket.
Right.
That's what this has turned out to be. So Crestview's playing Waterloo, and the winner of that game, by the way, gets LeBray. And if Crestview wins, double home games. But both of these opponents are pretty significant opponents. Crestview's already lost to LeBray once. Mm-hmm. Now they get a rematch. I believe that game gets remade in a week or so. This is a tough road for Crestview.
How about that for Crestview? Okay, obviously we have to take care of business against Waterloo, but we're going to have a heck of a measuring stick right before tournaments to see where we are compared to where we want to be, because we're going to play LeBray in the regular season at home.
Yep.
Which is, if we take care of business against Waterloo, that's going to be our matchup to go to the district semis. So that's a heck of a measuring stick the way that worked out, where you get LeBray right before tournaments, and that's who's waiting for you. in the sectional
Now,
finals.
here is the rainbow of a dark storm potential. Crestview's already beaten Brookfield, the number 3 seed. They sent them to their first loss and only loss of the season and beat them pretty good down in Crestview. Brookfield is in the bottom bracket, and if they can get past number 18 Mogador, then they get a really intriguing matchup against a pretty damn good United
That's
team.
also a rematch from way early. I think Brookfield's first game of the year, maybe United's third.
Yeah.
And it was really competitive.
And this United team has gotten a whole lot better since then.
Yes, and especially now that they're getting help because they lost Madison Kibler in like the middle of the season. She's back. Mickey Chastain can do a lot of things. Taylor Cope can do a lot of things. So that United Brookfield game, if chalk plays out, that's going to be a really interesting rematch. I think this bracket kind of proves that the MVAC got a little bit more respect than the EOAC did.
Yeah.
Because we saw, LeBray, Crestview, and Newton Falls is a 3 seed on the other side on the other division.
Somebody has vastly underrated United this year. I'm stunned that this team is a 10. I'm absolutely stunned.
But they're a 10 because, before the seeding voting, they weren't at the top of the EOAC. And we talked about it. The EOAC just got a little bit less respect than the MVAC did. So they kind of got put under a lot of MVAC teams.
Well, look, it would not shock me.
But United already beat Crestview this year.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's it would not shock me.
They competed with
Brookfield,
and they were supposed to play Waterloo. Interesting, that game's going to get scratched because Waterloo versus Western Reserve got canceled tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bump United on the 10th and play Western Reserve on that day to sum up their league. So that Waterloo United game is going to be, I think, next from the schedule.
Yeah. This bottom bracket is crazy good. I understand why everyone wants to casually walk away from South Range, but at some point in time, here's what's going to happen. You have, with all due respect to Mogador, they have no shot against Brookfield. You have 5 teams that are going to ultimately beat the living hell out of each other. And here's South Range in the district championship game going, yeah, we're really going to do a number on anyone that comes out of this mess.
Right. I think that if you're looking for a team that has the best chance to compete, you got to have some size and you got to be physical.
Crestview has size. I just don't know if they're physical enough to play South Range.
We saw their guard play last year is what really hurt them.
Yeah.
Turned the ball over way too much against South Range.
Yeah.
I think LeBray's guards are better than Crestview's, even, they'll play again, so we'll see a measuring stick there.
Yep.
I think Waterloo has the size with the Waldeck sisters. Brookfield definitely has the guard play with Sophia Hook and Reardon. I think if I had to pick a team that could give South Range the most trouble, I would pick Brookfield. I would put more strength on their guard play. And the fact that Sophia Hook can really get her shot anywhere she wants to, it's hard to defend that. So I would say Brookfield, probably the team that gives them the most trouble.
It would be a fascinating matchup if Brookfield hadn't gone through a gauntlet of United, talented teams.
LeBray, Crestview, whoever gets LeBray, Crestview, Waterloo.
Yeah,
that's going to be a tough game in the district semi.
And you're just going to. All this is, and again, South Range is, they're the top seed and they're the beneficiary of a lot of people that were not willing to jump up into that side of the bracket. Which, look, I mean, this is probably more arrogance than anything else. I'd have sat back and said, if I had a halfway decent team, I'd be like, well, if none of you guys are going to do this, I'll jump up and I'll try to slay the beast. Mm-hmm. Because I got a better shot at beating this team in the district semifinals than I do if I'm getting 2 or 3 really tough games, and then I got to play this team in the district championship. I'd just as soon rather be in Burton, Berkshire, or Palestine's spots where I'm going to sit back and go, you know what? I'm going to take my chances playing you in a district semifinal after both teams get a, for lack of a better term, warm-up game. I'll take my chances.
And you think Liberty probably had the opportunity to go there. Columbiana. Probably Rootstown probably could have gone.
I agree with you.
And they just, they all just wanted to. And Garfield's, I think that's an easier matchup. I get it. You want to win a district championship.
I get it. But someone, and I understand why, but someone should have stood up and said, you know what? I got a better chance at beating this team in the district semifinals than I do going down into this really tough bottom bracket, fighting my way to win this bottom bracket, and then, oh, by the way, I got to take on a really fresh South Range team in the district championship game. Just bad strategy. I'll throw it out there. It's just bad strategy, collectively, by everyone involved in this.
I give props to United, because as the 10, they could have come down into the Garfield district and said, we're going to get a couple of wins for our young team. But they went and they took the bye, and now they're going to – these wins will mean more for their young future if they get them. They're not as easy to get, but if they get, the upset against Brookfield, and then they've already beaten Crestview, who's the highest seed up there. So if they get the upset and they get into the district finals or whatever it may be, district semis, those wins mean more to that young team experience going forward than the easy wins they would have gotten down there in Garfield's district.
Okay, so let me ask you. You got Crestview and Waterloo that will have to play 3 games in order to get to the district championship.
Mm-hmm.
You have Brookfield and Mogador that are going to potentially have to play 3 games before they play South Range. And then you have LeBray and United, who only have to play 2 games before they take on the big dogs in South Range. Of LeBray and United, assuming that one of those 2 gets an opportunity to play South Range, which one matches up better against South Range?
You know what? It sounds crazy because LeBray's had such a good season, and maybe on paper they do, but something about a young team with confidence that kind of doesn't know what they don't know would scare me in that kind of game, because they wouldn't really be intimidated per se.
Yeah.
They've already beaten Crestview, which is going to be along the same coin as LeBray, even.
Yeah.
On the same measuring stick.
Yeah.
I like a young team in that situation that's not going to be intimidated by the lights. You could say, oh, they're going to make young mistakes, but they're also not going to fold under the intimidation of South Range.
If United gets past Brookfield, they'll play South Range in the district championship game.
And I think the guards for United are more physical, and I haven't seen LeBray too much, but I think they're very physical. And defensively, they're a strong team, and they have some height in Grace Knight and Cope. And I would say if it's between LeBray and United in that district semifinal, I think United would give South Range just a little bit of a better game.
Well, I'm just basically talking about one of these 2 teams plays one less game.
If it goes chalk and it goes into the district semis, well, that wouldn't be chalk. But if both teams get the bye.
Yeah.
Both teams that got the bye win and go to the district semis. I would say United would probably give South Range a little bit more of a fight. Because
I think if United gets past Brookfield, and that's a big if, they play South Range. Because they've already beaten Crestview once, and I'm with you. I think this team is so young.
Remember what that loss to United did to that Crestview girls team, though.
That fired them up.
Oh, so if they see them again and it's in Crestview instead of down at United, that'll be an interesting thing.
Well, Crestview's the team that
Crestview when Crestview's locked in,
they're good.
They're good.
They're really good when they're locked in.
They would be really locked in to beat United, just like they were really locked in last year to beat Liberty.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting game.
If they're really locked in, they could get into the district championship game against South Range, and would be interesting. It would be interesting, and we'll see if Mara Hallis can handle and the inside presence of Hughes and Perry, see what they would do. Obviously, South Range is the 1 seed for a very good reason. But there are some teams in the bottom bracket that might pose a threat. The problem is they're all beating the snot out of each other to get to that opportunity. So I can't see South Range losing this district.
Just another, when we go back to Northeast 2, Rootstown, the 9 seed, they had 18 wins last year.
Yeah.
They return a lot of starters.
I don't understand how they're the 9 seed.
I mean...
I don't get that.
They might get in that district championship. Yeah. They might knock off Garfield, and if that happens, then Waynedale's gonna be like.
Yeah, well, I mean, is it abundantly apparent that it's a South Range Waynedale regional championship?
I think South Range Norwayne will give South Range a game. Norwayne's good.
Yeah,
if they win that district championship over Leary Catholic. So I'm not gonna put my carriage before the horse in that game, especially because you don't know anything about them. You have to kind of scout them last minute.
Sure.
But that's what the whole idea coming into this season was, that we would see Waynedale and South Range in the regional championship. You ask people that are really familiar with the whole region, they say those are the 2 teams. And last year South Range was a couple plays away from winning the regional. So if they can make those plays this year, we'll see what happens.
All right, and again, South Range would play Creston Norwayne, the 3 seed, Elyria Catholic, the 2 seed, possibility there. Those are the 2 mainstays in the region opposite of South Range. The bottom one is straight bananas, where again the bottom one, Garrettsville Garfield, is the 2, but you got Rootstown as the 9. Ursuline is hanging around there as the 5. You also have Champion as the 4. They're in the bottom. Who knows what happens there? But as we mentioned, Northeast 3 would be the opponent, and Apple Creek Waynedale is the team that would ultimately wind up playing. Because they're the top seed and everyone believes they're the cat's meow.
I just got told that Waynedale's only loss is to Massillon Jackson, which is D1.
Yeah. One would think that Waynedale is, one would think if it's talent on paper, and nothing is won on paper, but one would say Waynedale against South Range regional championship, let's go.
Norwayne's 2 losses, both to Waynedale.
Well, yeah, okay, but can you beat a team 3 times in 1 year? That's that will be an interesting.
And they play in
thing.
the same conferences, Doylestown, Chippewa, and Dalton.
Yeah.
So they play those 2. So that's a tough. And also in that conference, by the way, is Smithville, Hillsdale, Rittman, Northwestern.
Yeah. By the way, if you live in Smithville and your last name isn't Smith, you're shunned.
Yeah, the Smitties.
in that town.
The Smitties.
Yeah.
So that's some inside information on that region over there. Waynedale is such a good team, and their only loss again is to D1 Massillon Jackson.
Yeah, which we'll hear from in a little bit, but we got to do Division 2 first. Division 2, Northeast 1 will play Northeast 2, so unlike Division 3, but similar to the Division 4, the 2 districts would play each other in the regional semifinals. We do, albeit not much of a chance, being that Waynedale is the opposite of the one other region, there is a chance, slight chance, that we could see an all-local regional championship in D3. Probably not going to happen, but we'll see. All right, Division 2.
Oh, this is fun.
This is an absolute blast. Let's go to the first one because that's an interesting one. Perry's the top seed.
And they deserve it. They deserve that. I mean, Perry's a great program. When they got placed in this district, I kind of, they're probably going to be the 1, and then the 2, 3, 4, 5 are going to be divvied up between Poland, Marlington, Salem, and West Branch. And we saw how that kind of shaped out. But I think Perry absolutely deserves the 1 seed in that whole district.
Okay, unfortunately, they're going to be playing the winner of Lakeview and Geneva. So hopefully Lakeview enjoys their 1 victory.
They get a home game.
Yeah, and it's a home game.
Competitive 1, 18-19.
Yeah. The other side of that is Canton South is the 7 seed. This is from the same division as Salem and West Branch, which basically tells us, boy, this conference really did get some love here.
4 is Salem, 3 is Marlington, 4 is Salem, 5 is West Branch, 7 is Canton South. That's all.
They get some serious love in this.
That's all EBC. And Canton South just played West Branch over the weekend. It's a really hard-fought game. West Branch won by maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So very competitive conference, and I think the non-conference wins and the overall record are the reason why. We'll talk about this later a little bit more in depth, but why Marlington got seeded 3 and Salem 4, even though Salem
beat them, which I kind of have a problem with it.
In Marlington, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of have a problem with that. I think they should have been flip-flop, but neither here nor there. Canton South is the 7. They will host number 27 Niles. Struthers is the 12. They will host Ashtabula Edgewood. If the 2 winners would not play each other, they would. They would play each other. Yeah, they would play each other. So if it's chalk, Canton South would host Struthers, and if this is chalk, Perry would host Lakeview in the top half. And then, obviously, Perry would take on number 18, Lakeview, number 7, Canton South, number 12, Struthers. My question is, if it's chalk in the district semifinals, does Canton South have enough to beat Perry?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, no disrespect to Canton South, but they don't even have enough to get into the top 3 of the EBC. And Perry's just a different animal.
Okay.
So.
All right. Streetsboro is the 13. They'll play Mogador Field, the 25. That game will be in Rocket Country. The winner of that game gets number 4, Salem. That game will be played in Salem on the 20th of February. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin is the 10. They get Ravenna, the 23. They'll play host to them. Kenston is the 6. They will play host to Chagrin Falls, the 16. If it's chalk, Kenston would play Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, and Salem would play Streetsboro. Is Salem got a path to the district championship game, Anthony?
They're going to have to deal with Cathedral Latin and Kenston. Whoever comes, I think 6 and 10. I think those 2 win. I think Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. They're a parochial school. They play a tough schedule, just like every one of them. I don't know enough about Kinston, but I just got texted here on the spot. Notre Dame Cathedral Latin beat Kinston by 9 in November. So as a 10 seed, that Notre Dame Cathedral Latin game is dangerous.
Yeah.
Just because of the schedule they get to play, and I'm sure they've played a lot of Division I teams. So I'm not going to say it's a walk-in for Salem.
No.
It's going to be 4. I think it's going to be 4 versus 10. But Cathedral Latin's going to give them a heck of a game.
But kudos to Salem because they're the only team that stood up and said, we'll take on Perry, no problem. And the truth is, Salem's good enough to beat Perry.
They took the advantage where they said not a lot of teams in this district at least are going to know a lot about us.
Yeah.
Which is an advantage.
Yeah.
Because you go to the other district and it's a bunch of local teams.
Oh my God!
Arlington, Poland.
We'll get to the bananas.
All teams that Salem has played. So they're looking at this like Cathedral Latin, Kinston. They don't know a lot about Salem, so it's going to be a kind of a chalk game where we're feeling each other out. And Coach Hamilton felt like that they have a better chance there than they would have playing a bunch of teams that are familiar with them.
Well, and let me ask you, and I'm going to probably put on a coach's hat and say the reason why Salem is doing this is because they play such amazingly good defense that you don't necessarily, you'll scout this team and you'll be like, they're kind of generic offensively. That's not their calling card. Their calling card is defense. Good luck trying to play this team defensively because they're going to shut you down. They're going to try to go game in the 30s, low 40s. That's their caliber of basketball, and if they can do it, they got a serious chance here.
They can score.
Well, they can score, but their calling card is defense, even though they can score.
They got Kyla Jamison down low, who's hard to defend. And they got shooters like Casey Johnson and the Davidson sisters, and they're a hard team to defend because they can play inside out.
Yeah.
So well. So I think people might sleep on their offense a little bit, looking at this as a defensive team, and maybe not guard the shooters like they should, and that might come back to bite them if you're playing Salem.
And I think that it's pure genius to go into a stranger's bracket where you're essentially going to be playing a bunch of teams that they don't know anything about you. And I think that's going to work to Salem's advantage. I love Salem in this district. I really do. I know how good Perry is. I love Salem in this district. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good idea. I think they would fare a lot better. There are more chances to get knocked off in the other bracket just because of the familiarity. And
yep.
You'd have to play Marlington twice, or you'd have to play West Branch twice, or you'd have to deal with Mooney or wherever they would land in the other district if they went over there. I think there's a lot more opportunity to get knocked off in that NE2 bracket than there is over in NE1. So I think it's a strong choice. There's a lot of tougher teams in this bracket. NDCL is way underranked. Kenston's a good team, but hey, it'll get you ready for Perry if you win.
Absolutely.
That'll be tough.
Now we got to go to NE2 because this is so good. This is just such a good matchup all the way around. We start off, Jefferson area is going to have a home game. They're the 14 seed. They will play host to number 21 Painesville Harvey. And then the winner of that game gets number 2 Poland.
I just got texted a really good point that we didn't even talk about. Salem's going to be able to see if Canton South makes it there, how their league opponent, who they've played twice, matches up against Perry.
There you go.
And what they do against them.
Absolutely.
That'll be a great advantage for Salem. Great point by one of our listeners.
Absolutely. And again, the familiarity or lack thereof of Salem in the bottom bracket, but you have Canton South in the top bracket, who there's a really good chance they're playing Perry in the district semifinals. If they can play Perry and really play a good game, Salem will be looking at this going,
They'll put a lot. They'll put a lot on tape for Salem because they know exactly what Canton South does, and they'll say, okay, they do this against Perry, we do this against Perry. We can do this against them because we did this against Canton South, and this is what Perry did against Canton South compared to what we did against Canton. There's a lot of gold there on the tape when your league opponent plays a team that you might play in the district championship.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I think it's a really good point.
All right, back to
all right. Jefferson is hosting Painesville Harvey. The winner of that game gets Poland, the 2 seed. Okay.
Jefferson 14. That's interesting.
Cardinal Mooney is the 9, and they will play host to number 20 Youngstown East. They've already played each other 2 times this year, so they'll get a third meeting between these 2 teams. Whoever wins that game gets the winner of Ravenna Southeast, the 8 seed, playing number 11 West Geauga. Southeast is no stranger to the local teams.
It's an 8.
Yeah.
And that tells you how tough Division 2 is because Southeast beat the 2 seed that we're talking about over in the Northeast District of Division 3.
Yeah.
And they're in that same conference. So that just tells you how tough this district is. That's a really solid Southeast team is an 8 seed.
Okay, I've seen Cardinal Mooney play. It was their first game of the year. They lost to Crestview. But since then, Mooney got a whole lot better, and then they started losing a few games. When Mooney's on their A game, they're a pretty significant team.
They're so hard to put a finger on because there are games when they come out and they look just phenomenal. I mean, that Ursuline game last week, they probably played the best game of their season to beat Ursuline and to hold Anissa Mormon to 4 points. Great defense on their end. And Rotuno can play really well. Katie Huff can play really well. But, there are other times when you watch them play and you just go, this isn't the Mooney I know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see what Mooney shows up, especially for that if Chalk plays out it's a 9-8 matchup against Southeast.
Well, and the winner of the game would ultimately play Poland.
Right.
Okay. Southeast or Mooney playing Poland. Either one, you're going to get a damn good game.
Well, Poland Southeast was last year's district championship. No, 2 years ago district championship when Poland went to the regional. So they've seen each other before in the tournament. They're no strangers. Poland plays a much tougher schedule than Southeast does. A lot of Southeast conference mates are Division III. That might come back to bite them if they split up with Poland.
Okay, bottom bracket. This one gets a little more interesting. Hubbard is going to play host to Girard. Hubbard's the 15. Girard is the 17. The winner will take on Marlington, and the Dukes will host that game as the 3 seed. And then at the extreme bottom, West Branch is the 5. And
we know what's coming here.
Yeah. West Branch is going to be playing host to Cheney, and then they will play host to Alliance. The Cheney Cowboys are the 24 seed. The Alliance Aviators are the 26 seed. You're going to get Marlington and West Branch, barring a
collapse,
barring COVID, barring a miracle. Marlington and West Branch for a third time. The real beneficiary of that is whoever comes out of the top bracket, because Marlington and West Branch, if it's chalk, those two will beat each other down,
right?
And whoever comes out of the top bracket will be right there.
Disadvantage
smiling.
If West Branch wins, that's going to give them so much momentum going into that championship, because they beat the team that beat them twice and knocked them out of the contention for the EBC, and that's going to give that team. And West Branch is going to be hungry anyway, because they were called off the floor last year for the state semifinals.
Yes.
Everybody on that team remembers that, even though a lot of seniors left. So they're going to be hungry anyway. So if they end up beating Marlington in a tournament game, that makes them super, super dangerous in a district championship.
All right, so how do we see this?
I think I don't know a lot about West Geauga, the 11 seed playing Southeast. So I don't know how good of a matchup that's going to be. We could be seeing Mooney versus West Geauga, depending on how good West Geauga is or what they look like. I think Poland wins that one easy. Mooney wins. I'm going to say Southeast versus Mooney in the sectionals. Right now, I'm going to give Mooney the edge because of their schedule, their physicality. I'm going to say they beat Southeast and meet Poland in the district semifinals. And then on the other side, it's Marlington West Branch. I mean, I think we both can agree on that.
I think we're going to agree on everything. I love Mooney. It is assuming Mooney, the team that I have seen, shows up.
Right.
If the team that I've seen shows up, they play Poland and they give Poland a pretty good scare.
And then if I would pick Poland West Branch in the district championship. I think Marlington beat them twice, and they weren't exactly dominant, but they beat them. But Coach DeShields in the tournament is like a different. It's almost like Bill Belichick in the playoffs, when you're like, oh man, we got him in the regular season. It's this switch that turns on for West Branch. Everyone knows what happened to them last year. They're going to be super motivated to get to another state semi if they can do it. So I think that West Branch would pull off that win if they got matched up against Marlington again.
So you have West Branch and Poland in a district final.
Right, and that'll be fun. That'll be so fun.
Well, yeah, there's no two ways about it.
Two super defensive teams that don't score a ton of points going up against each other. You know, how does West Branch defend Jackie Grisdale?
Yeah.
How does Poland defend the interior of West Branch, because that's where their offensive strength lies? And Poland doesn't have a quote-unquote true post player that really gets in there and dominates the paint. So that would be a really fun matchup to watch and see how it plays out.
I'm going to agree with you, even though, look, Marlington beat West Branch 2 times in the regular season. And I know that it's tough to beat a team 3 times, and then this Marlington team is really good. Oh, man.
You figure out that zone. That's what West Branch has to do. Figure out that zone.
And that's but I'm with you on DeShields being a different coach in the tournament.
Right. I
mean,
that program knows how to win.
He gets the most out of his kids in the tournament, and that's a scary good tournament team. So I'm going to go along with you on West Branch on the bottom side. Cardinal Mooney has it in them to beat Poland.
I agree.
I just don't know. The problem with Mooney, they could get eliminated the very first game. Well, not the very first game. No disrespect to Youngstown East.
Southeast.
They can get beat by Southeast and end their season.
Right.
Or they can go right into the district championship game. I just don't know which Mooney team is going to show up. And I don't want to put stock in something that's not. This is one of those, if this were the New York Stock Exchange.
But here's the thing. If you already have them getting there, then you can assume that they've. So then do you have them beating Poland if they're getting there anyway?
This is a high-risk, high-reward stock. If this were a stock in the stock market, this would be a high-risk, high-reward, where you can sit back and make a case Mooney in their A game can beat Poland. You can make that case. But does Mooney play their A game knowing that we've seen them all year long, and they haven't played their A game all year? They've played their A game in a number of games, but they haven't played their A game all year long. That's where I'm kind of looking at this going, okay, how much do these kids want to go to a district championship and ultimately win a district title? I don't know. If Mooney plays I'll even go a step further. If Mooney plays an A game, they can beat West Branch too. Now it would be a miracle type of perfect type of a game, but it's Cardinal Mooney, for crying out loud.
It's Cardinal Mooney.
It's Cardinal Mooney. I just don't know if they have an A game where they can play on that level 3 games in a row, because they're gonna have to play a really good game, assuming they get past East. They're going to have to play a really good game against Southeast or West Geauga. They're going to have to play an even better game to get past Poland, and then they would have to play a ridiculously good game to get past Marlington or West Branch.
Here's the thing. I'm not even sold that Southeast will get past West Geauga. I think that's a tough first-round matchup because although Southeast might deserve a little bit higher seed, they didn't get it. West Geauga's a wild card. I wouldn't be surprised if they get into the district semifinal to play Poland.
Yeah.
I mean,
West Geauga's a pretty good basketball team.
They're good, and they play a better schedule than Southeast does. And
yes.
Mooney plays a better schedule than Southeast does. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Mooney versus West Geauga.
Could we see an all-local regional semifinal?
Well, that would be what, Mooney, Poland, Marlington, West Branch. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm talking a regional semifinal. Whoever gets out of that.
I think twos match up with 3, one's match up with 4.
Hang on a second.
I think it's
you're right. You're right. No, one matches up with 2, 3 and 4 match up. So they would play each other in the regional semifinals, and I bring that up because there is a chance that we could be seeing Salem versus West Branch.
Yeah,
Salem versus Marlington.
This text I just got makes me clinch West Geauga Poland in the district semis. West Geauga lost by 2 to Division I Magnificent, who is the 2 seed in the Division II West bracket.
Yeah.
Division I.
Yeah.
Division I West bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think West Geauga might make some noise.
Well, we'll see.
Might make some noise.
We'll see what happens.
Make some noise.
Again, you can show up for one game and then turn around and play ho-hum the rest of the year.
2 versus 11 in the district semi. Think about it. Well, at least, at the best, it's going to be 2 versus 8 because Southeast is the highest seed they can come out of it.
Yeah. Honestly, the EBC could be looking at this going, we have a really good chance at 2 of our teams playing each other in the regional semifinals. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Marlington or West Branch.
Well, because, no, they're not matched up, right? It's 2 versus 3, 1 versus 4.
It's 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4.
So these 2 regions match up with each other.
So they're playing each other in the regional semis, which tells me you could see a rematch round 3 of Salem West Branch or Salem Marlington.
Or you could see a round 2 of Poland Salem.
Yeah.
Because Salem beat Poland
and
in the first.
And I don't want to discount Perry. You could have Poland or West Branch or Marlington or West Geauga playing Perry, which at that point, if it's West Geauga and Perry, we're like, Yeah, we don't have any. We don't have anything to that. So no, off you go. We don't care.
No, I think we have a pretty good chance of. We have 3 local teams that can win that Division II Northeast 2 district, and I think over on the other side, you got 1 local team that can really win it.
Yeah, Salem.
So,
and then the other.
In the ones.
Okay, then the other. Obviously, the other region is 3 versus 4, and 3 is CVCA is the 3 seed.
See, I think our teams are really lucky they didn't get into this district because it's CVCA, which is a strong team.
Yeah, they're a 3, and they're the highest seed in that in that district tournament. They're the highest seed.
CVCA lost to. No, they beat Hoban. I think they beat Hoban by like 7.
Northeast 3 has the 1 and the 2, which is absurd.
That 2 decided that it was going to...
Laurel is the 1.
Laurel's ridiculous.
And the 2 is... well, wait a minute. This can't be right. There's no 2. Where the hell's the 2? Shaker Heights Laurel is the 1.
They're so good they got the 1 and the 2.
And I don't even know where the 2 is in this. The other lowest seed is Gilmore Academy, which is the 6. And I looked at the other Northeast 4. Hang on a second. Let me look at this again. All right. CVCA is the 3. There is no 2 seed in this. Canal Fulton Northwest is the 5. There's no 2 seed in this.
Hold on. I'm coming with you.
This is absurd. Yeah, there's no 2 seed.
That's because there's a Northwest 5 that goes into a different region.
Ah, okay.
So the 2 seed is in Northeast
5. Okay.
In Region 6.
Okay, it's in Region 6.
And
all right.
that 2 seed, hold on, I'm looking. I don't think they got the bye. That 2 seed is Norton, who Poland beat earlier in the season, by the way. So Norton is the 2 seed in the Northeast. They got moved over
They got moved to
Region
6, which is, boy, that's weird. Okay, so obviously Laurel is...
And that's the team that West Branch beat last year to go to state. I think they'll be right there at the regional finals again.
All right. Laurel would undoubtedly play CVCA.
Right.
Which, okay, you would think advantage Laurel.
Absolutely. And I would say Laurel goes to the regional finals against either Perry or Salem or Poland or Marlington or West Branch. I mean, it's really hard to decide who's going to win those districts.
We have a shot at a local team going to the regional championship.
Mm-hmm.
We have a pretty decent shot for a Division II local team to get to a regional title game. Whether or not they can get past Laurel or CVCA remains to be seen. Division III.
We have a good shot too because they don't play each other, so we could have technically we could have an all local regional final.
Yeah, except for the fact that
there's Waynedale in there.
Yeah, you have Waynedale in there, and
but
good luck trying to.
Stranger things have happened, Mr. Ron.
Well, yeah. All right, let's take a break because Division I. You thought Division II was nuts. Warren Harding doesn't even get a top 4 seed.
8.
Yeah, that's. I'm looking at this and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
But Division I's a different animal.
Yeah, Division I's crazy good. It really is. We'll talk Division I and our local teams and their chances of going anywhere after this timeout. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. Sad news coming out of Hollywood. Dustin Diamond, who portrayed Screech on Saved by the Bell, has passed away. He had suffered from stage 4 cancer.
With the trouble he got into after Saved by the Bell, he was living on borrowed time anyway.
Yeah, he'd been diagnosed in January with stage 4 cancer, and that metastasized over the weekend, and it wasn't good.
He had some demons.
Yeah, no two ways about that. All right, Division 1, the playoffs. Oof, man. Let's get to it.
Really, we only have 2 YSN family teams in Division.
Actually 3, because Louisville.
Fitch.
Yeah, Louisville, Fitch,
Louisville, Boardman,
yeah,
and Canfield 4. Sorry.
Yeah. Boardman is going to be playing in Louisville.
The only reason I miss Louisville is because they're playing in the same game as Boardman. So I was like, oh, that's 1. And then that
1. Louisville hosts Boardman. That should be an entertaining game.
But we talked about Boardman and the way they're kind of coming on and starting to get better as a team. 4-11 right now. But
yeah.
That's why they got the low seed. But that doesn't say they can't go win a tournament game.
It's a crappy draw for Boardman in that if you get past Louisville, now you got to play Canton McKinley, and they're one of the top dogs, pun intended, being a Bulldog. They're the 5 seed. So
yeah, and they're strong. I mean,
they're strong.
They're the 5 seed, but they're one of the teams that can really win a district championship because Division 1 is loaded.
Yeah, they're obscenely loaded. Walsh Jesuit is the 12. They will play host to East Lake North, the 14. The winner of that game gets to go to Warren to take on number 8 Warren Harding.
That's a tough draw. You get Walsh Jesuit is going to win that game, and then you get Walsh Jesuit as your first tournament game if you're Warren Harding.
That sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, they're the 8 seed, for God's sake. They shouldn't be playing a team as good as Walsh Jesuit.
But when you look at, D1, it's a different animal. There's so many good seeds, and they haven't played a lot, so it's like, where do you put them?
And oh, by the way, if you happen to get past Walsh Jesuit, guess who you get to play in the district semifinals? Canton McKinley, assuming that McKinley gets past the winner of Boardman and Louisville.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough.
And this is the easy bracket.
Yeah, and then you go to the bottom of the bracket. Canfield will host Hudson.
It's a winnable game. Hudson's tough, but it's a winnable game for Canfield. And that's what you want. You want these schools, especially Boardman. Boardman's young. If they can get a win under their belt and get that experience for their team, that'll be strong for them. And
now, I want you to remember what Anthony just said. Hudson is tough. They are the 18 seed in this district tournament.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me with the talent in Division I right now? This is a reasonably good Hudson team. Now, again, Canfield is a reasonably good team this year. They're the 15 seed. This is crazy. Now, by the way, if Canfield happens to beat Hudson, they got to go play Massillon Perry.
Which I believe they played this year. It might have been one of those games that got canceled. But they definitely had them on their schedule. They played them before. They can be competitive with Perry and give them a game. I mean, I've seen it. They're on that level where they can have chances to win against Massillon Perry. Not saying they will do it.
Yeah.
But they can definitely put themselves in positions to win against Massillon Perry.
And Massillon Perry is a 10. I mean, that's pretty good. Now, the team that I think is the overwhelming favorite in the bottom is Stowe Monroe Falls. They're the 2 seed. They'll play number 35, Kent Roosevelt.
There are some people that are... I hate that this even exists. They're upset that Stowe gets the 35 and the 31 seed as the first 2 games of a district. It's like Stowe didn't pick to be there, and it's not their fault that they get slated with the 35 and the 31. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I know I've seen people coming after Stowe directly that it's somehow their fault that they're playing 35 and 31.
Well, they're the 2 seed.
They're going to be washed games.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry about
now,
it. Now,
unfortunately, Howland is the 31,
right.
And they'll wind up getting, in all likelihood, Stowe Monroe Falls. And that's your first round opponent, and that's not a good thing. Not a good thing. But look, if you're number 2, you much like the ones, they get a relatively easy path to a district championship. That is what's going on in this district. So let's go to the upper tier first. I hope, whoever wins. I mean, Boardman and Louisville, they're both part of the family. So we're going to have a team into the sectional title game against Canton McKinley. Now, I have a fondness for Boardman. I spent my first 8 years of my life in Boardman. I went to the Boardman schools through 2nd grade, so once a Spartan, always a Spartan. But Louisville, they're also a solid team. And whoever wins this game, they'll have their hands full against Canton McKinley. No 2 ways about it.
Yeah, and I think that district's built for a Canton McKinley versus Stowe district final.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sleep on Warren Harding to beat Canton McKinley and get a chance to play Stowe.
I kind of actually like if Walsh Jesuit beats Eastlake. I kind of like this first round matchup for Harding in that you're getting a really good idea of the caliber of basketball that you're going to have to play from the get-go if you want to win a district championship. So by playing Walsh Jesuit, if let's say Harding beats them and beats them convincingly or hard-fought win, either one, Harding's going to be more than ready to play Canton McKinley because Walsh Jesuit will have given them that preparation.
And the thing that makes D2 so different is you have Stowe that's like up here, and then you got, I think Canton McKinley's the next highest seed in that.
Yeah, they're the 5.
So you have Stowe up here, and then Canton McKinley's just below them at 5, and then like 6 through 14 or 15 are all in this big area where there's not a ton of separation there. Canfield, they really competed with Warren Harding this year. So they're down at 15.
Yeah.
So you have this big kind of gathering of teams that are all kind of really evenly matched and compete with each other. So it makes it really tough to kind of decipher who's going to win, And
see, this wouldn't surprise me if Canfield went to the district semifinals and played Stowe Monroe Falls.
They've proven they can beat Warren Harding or. So I think, and it would be Walsh Jesuit if Warren Harding doesn't win that game. But, I think Canfield's proven they can put themselves in positions to win.
Yeah.
Whether or not they do, that's a different story. But they've competed against Warren Harding this year.
Well, they don't play Harding because they're in the bottom bracket,
right.
which is probably a good thing. But using to your point, if they get past Hudson, which I think is going to be a tough game, that's a damn good first round matchup. They get past Hudson, then Maslin Perry is staring them in the face. Well, as you said, Harding, you can make the case as a better team than Maslin Perry.
But barely.
But barely. Canfield played Harding really, really well. It wouldn't surprise me if Canfield goes to Maslin Perry, assuming they get past Hudson, beats Perry and takes on Stowe Monroe Falls in the district semifinals. Well, now you're in a completely different stratosphere.
But then again, we talked about it. Canfield's a team that they have 2 senior starters, I believe. So they're going to return 3 starters next year, and the experience of winning those 2 games, if they win against Hudson and Maslin Perry, would do a lot for that young team coming back next year with Alyssa Dill as a senior.
Yeah. Now, let's say Harding plays Walsh Jesuit, beats them. Can Harding beat Canton McKinley?
Can they? Yeah. Absolutely they can.
Now, I don't want to take anything away from Boardman and Louisville. I mean, we had Boardman's coach on last week, and I flat out said I would not want to play Boardman early in the tournament because you're starting to get your stuff together.
And we saw Boardman. They gave Warren Harding a 4-point game.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, Boardman, Louisville, whoever wins that game, can they actually go in and play Canton McKinley to the tune of we're going to scare the hell out of you and possibly pull off an upset?
Yeah, I mean, in D1, it's a wild card. I mean, we've seen all these teams beat up on each other and compete with each other, and whether it be the 8 seed, the 15 seed, or what seed is Boardman? 22?
Boardman's the 28.
28. They gave the 8 seed in this bracket everything they could handle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah. I even though McKinley's the 5 and they're playing the winner of 28 versus 25, it's not a slam dunk that they're going to advance into the district semifinals, although they will probably be an overwhelming favorite. Again, Harding is the 8 seed. It's not a slam dunk that they'll play and beat the 12 or the 14.
No.
It's Canfield is a 15. I love where Canfield is in this until the district semifinals. Assuming they can get past Hudson, I think they can beat Maslin Perry. But again, the bottom tier in this is still Monroe Falls. They're the best team in this bracket, hands down. It's
absolutely
they're whoever comes out of the upper bracket, or if Canfield goes into the district semifinals, they'd have to play a near perfect game against Stowe Monroe Falls just to beat them or stay on the floor with them.
In Stowe, by the way.
In Stowe, exactly.
Because high seeds host all these.
Yeah.
And Division I, the dates are different. I think it's the 13th or the sectionals.
Yes.
So you'll see a stagger a little bit where those teams play a little bit earlier. All the other districts, I believe, are the 17th.
Yeah, the 13th is a Saturday,
so
which that'll be pretty interesting.
But the good news we saw, which I was happy about, is we saw the Division III and the Division II district championships at different times. So you can go watch, let's say a Poland versus a West Branch or Marlington or wherever it may be, and then you can go from there and watch South Range versus Brookfield or whatever it may be, because I think D3 starts at 7 and D1 starts at 1, or maybe the other way around.
Okay, Northeast 1 is going to be playing Northeast 2 in the regional semifinals. North Canton Hoover gets the winner of number 29 Uniontown Lake and number 22 Marietta. Uniontown Lake is going to be making a rather long journey down into the river to take on Marietta.
Down into the river.
How in God's name Marietta is in this district is beyond me. But they will, whoever wins that game will play the number 4 seed North Canton Hoover. Solon is the 21. They'll stay close to home. They'll take on number 9 Lyndhurst Brush, 2 suburban Cleveland schools. The winner of that game gets number 19 Cuyahoga Falls. Aurora is the 11 seed. They'll take on number 24 Mentor. The winner of that game gets number 20 Akron Kenmore Garfield. And then finally, Madison is the 26th seed. They will host Fitch. Fitch is the 30th seed. Whoever wins that game gets to take on number 3 Akron Hoban.
We all know Hoban's been on YSN a couple times, and we all know what they're about. They're run and gun and let's play fast and let's have Lene Riley score 38 points and let's have fun. So Hoban's tough.
Yeah, Hoban is tough. Now, what is not obvious here is there is not a number 1 seed in Northeast 1 versus Northeast 2. There is not a number 1 seed among any of those teams. It's in the other region where we will find Kent and Glen Oak in Northeast 3. Kent and Glen Oak is the top seed.
Glen Oak is ridiculously good.
Well, here's the thing. They're in the other region. So let's say that Harding or, Harding or one of the local teams gets on a crazy roll.
Cinderella.
Who knows?
Hey, one shining moment, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's play it.
There you go. I don't think that we're going to get a local team into the regionals in Division 1.
Be really hard. I mean, Warren Harding could do it.
Yeah.
But that's on a YSN family team. So.
But Stowe Monroe falls as the 2 seed, and
there's so much parity. I mean, we've seen between Division 1 teams. They're all great. I mean, Warren Harding has a couple of Division 1 college kids that are going to play at Division 1 colleges next year.
Yeah.
So, and they're the 8th seed. I mean, it's a roll of the dice in Division 1.
All right, Northeast 1 and Northeast 2 in Division 2. Again, the first round will start on the 17th, which is it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. So those games will start on Wednesday, the 17th. Division 1 is the only, I believe they are the only district or the only division that is going to be starting their games on the 13th of February, which is next Saturday. All of these games are going to be starting, other than Division 1, all of these games are going to be starting on Wednesday, 2 weeks from Wednesday, February the 17th. And that'll be entertaining, to say the least. Yeah, and I'm looking at everything. Yeah, Division 1 is the only division where games are going to be starting on a Saturday,
right.
Mainly because their tournament is so damn large, because they've got so many teams in each
right.
smashed up district. So,
but it does help us because we can get to those games.
Yeah. So we've taken a look at all of the divisions, and we've kind of handicapped the teams. Of all the really, really good teams that we have in our YSN family, who's got the best chance at going down to the state tournament?
I forget which brackets line up with each other.
All right, Division 4, 1 will play 2. So
and then the other ones are 3, and then the West, right? The West bracket.
Yeah, D3 has 2 versus 3, so you'll have a local possibility of an all-local regional championship. Division 2 is 1 versus 2, so they would play each other in the regional semifinals.
So with all that being said, because I think that someone out of that Cornerstone Dalton district is going to get to the other regional final spot, and Reserve and McDonald are both very familiar with those teams. They've played them in regionals before. I think our best shot is Division 4, whether it be Reserve or McDonald, whoever wins that regional semifinal, considering if they go chalk. And I'm saying that because in Division 3, South Range has 2 tough regional games that they would have to play. In Norwayne, in my opinion, and Waynedale. So those are 2 games where you'd have to really bring your stuff to win a regional championship.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for Division III where the two regions, the local regions, would not be playing each other.
And then when you're talking about, our best chance in Division II, we have a lot of good teams, but they also play each other in a regional semifinal. So you would be knocking out one of our teams right there.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons why they're out of my running for having the best chance to get a team into the state semifinals.
Well, Division IV, you're knocking one of those teams out too.
I think Division IV, both those teams, Reserve and McDonald, are going to be really familiar with their opponent because whether it be Cornerstone, Dalton, or who's the other, Laudonville,
yeah,
they've played them before in regional matchups. So I think they'd be a little bit more comfortable in that regional final.
And we're
than Waynedale.
We're kind of disrespecting the other district tournament that's in the region that's south of us.
I'm sorry. If you're listening from that district, that's just a really tough district to play in your regional where you're playing. Whoever comes out of it, whether it be Dalton, Cornerstone, or Laudonville, I think it would be Laudonville.
And I want to circle back to this river district that is the eastern district that has come up and is playing in the northeastern Ohio regional
versus northeast,
because these teams are somewhat familiar with East Liverpool, Beaver Local, Wellsville. Some of these teams will have probably in a normal season put one of those three Southern Columbiana County teams on their schedule. Shadyside is the top seed. Malvern is the 4. Malvern is very familiar to the Columbiana County teams. The boys team has played Lisbon and beaten them earlier in the season. Malvern girls are the 4 seed. If we're going to run through the top 5 seed, Woodsville, Monroe Central, that's a team way, way, way down on the river. They're the 2. New Philadelphia, Tuskegee Central Catholic is the 3. Sarasville, Shenandoah is the 5. Strasburg, Franklin is the 8. This is a region that goes from Zanesville into the New Philadelphia area. Toronto is in this tournament, albeit as a 14 seed. A lot of talent, but again, no disrespect. They're not they're not as talented as the other.
Do me a favor, go back to Division III.
Yeah.
And that region with Elyria Catholic and Norwayne and the team that is matched up with South Ranges District.
Yes.
Is Tuskegee Valley in that one, or are they in? Because they have to be in that region. I think.
Elyria Catholic's playing the winner of West Salem Northwestern and Sullivan Black River.
Tuskegee Valley, Tuslaw.
Yeah, Tuslaw
they gotta be in one of those. They got to either be in Waynedale's.
They're not in this. They're not in this one.
Okay.
So let me look and see where Tuslaw is. Are they in the Northeast 1? Well, they're not. They would be in Northeast 3. Wouldn't they?
They're the team that Elyria Catholic beat in the regional semifinals last year. And I thought they had a lot of returning.
Tuslaw is the 5 seed in this. They're going to be opening up against Wellington, and then they would play the winner of Brooklyn. So they have an 18 and a 17, which should put them into the district semifinals.
Who's the highest? Are they in Waynedale's?
They're in Waynedale's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they'll play them in probably the district championship.
Yeah.
And at least they'll give Waynedale a game because they got to regionals last year and they returned a lot from that. So
okay. Garfield Heights Trinity is the 6th seed, which is 1 seed down from Massillon Tuslaw. Mm-hmm. Garfield Heights Trinity is in the southeastern suburb of Cleveland. They would be pretty much a certainty to play Massillon Tuslaw. That could be a fun game. The other half of that would be, it would appear Smithville against Apple Creek Waynedale. They're in the same league. They've played each other 2 times. Familiarity breeds contempt.
Maybe.
Does Smithville come back and say, okay, you guys beat us twice. We'll take care of you when it matters.
That would make the whole rest of the region breathe in a deep sigh of relief.
Well, yeah, that would pretty much be the case.
I think the bigger chance for Wayndale to get upset before the regional would just be Tuslaw. Just because I've seen them play. They played last year in the regional semis and gave Elyria Catholic a good game. So I think Tuslaw would be the bigger chance for an upset against Wayndale.
Okay, and then that would be good news for Ursuline and Champion and Garrettsville, Garfield, and that part of Division 3, because if that were the case, maybe they have a much better chance of getting into the regionals.
A little easier. Your matchup gets a little easier.
Yeah.
But you never want to play the team that beat the big dog because they're obviously going to be fired up and they have the tools to beat the big dog if they beat the big dog.
Well, it depends. I mean, what happens if they upset the big dog, but then they go flatter than a pancake because they had that emotional victory and they wind up getting beat the next round?
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that happen a time or two.
We've seen it happen.
So I'll be interested to see what transpires in that in Division 3.
Tuslaw versus Wayndale was probably going to be that district championship game.
All right.
And Wayndale shouldn't lose.
We'll see what happens with that. This is fascinating in that you could be seeing an all-local matchup in Division 4 in the regional semis. Mm-hmm. I think the popular opinion is
yes.
McDonald and Western Reserve for a third time, and given the fact they went to overtime on Saturday.
And this one will be the most on the line ever, because usually they're just playing for a district championship.
That's true.
This is like, we're playing for the right to go into the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you could be seeing an all-local regional semifinal matchup in Division 2, which could very well be all-local as in all-local EBC round 3, much like Western Reserve and McDonald, or Poland gets into this and says, okay, we'll take on whoever comes out of the other district. And again, Poland-Salem, West Branch-Salem, I'm all for that. That's...
Either way, it'd be a rematch.
Absolutely, it would be. Sign me up for that. I think that would be a blast.
So as we wind down, let's just we have a couple of cancellations today because of weather and their school cancellations. But as of now, I'm looking at our schedule. We have 8 games on the network. 8 girls games on the network, 1 boys game. So as of now, we have Columbiana versus Lisbon. We have Girard and Lakeview. We have South Range going to Jefferson. We have Springfield going to Mineral Ridge. Brookfield going to Newton Falls. Edison's in the OVAC tournament, so that'll be on. Hubbard going to Struthers. East Palestine going to Valley Christian. And then 1 boys game tonight as Lordstown goes to Girard. That'll be a part of a boys-girls doubleheader with the girls playing Lakeview and then the boys playing Lordstown.
Yeah, and for those wondering, why in the world would they still play the game up in Jefferson? Well, this is a nor'easter. This is not a lake effect snow.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, that's a league game, and you don't want to have to reschedule that trip up to Jefferson. So I'm sure the folks at South Range and Jefferson were going to do everything they could to make sure that game went off. That way they don't have to, hey, let's go back up to Jefferson in a week. You know?
And like I said, this is not lake effect snow where it's coming off of Lake Erie. This is a nor'easter where it's wrapping around the East Coast, and our area got hit a little bit, but nowhere near as much as, say, South Central Pennsylvania all the way up into the Philadelphia, New York range. They're going to get destroyed by the snow. They'll get like 2 feet of snow.
You remember that movie Day After Tomorrow? Well, all you have to do is scratch out Day After, and that's what you're going to tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's what New York's going to see.
Yeah, there you go. They're going to get a ton of snow. What can I tell you? All right, we're going to take a final timeout. We got bowling because we got local teams in a bowling tournament coming up, and we'll preview that and basically make way for DJ and the boys in Power Hour. That's all coming up. Stick around, more to come.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team. Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
High-res Futurecast shows steady snow for the next few hours.
Still just downright cold.
It is bitter out there.
Several strong bands of lake effect snow.
Wind is kind of the big story today as well.
So if you need a more detailed winter forecast on WFMJ.com and the Storm Tracker 21 app.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Welcome back as we get set to close up shop on this Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Before we get out of here, bowling is on everyone's mind. Division II sectional girls Sunday morning at Freeway Lanes up in Warren, beginning at 9 a.m. Ursuline, Struthers, Hubbard, Girard, Camel, Liberty, LeBray, JFK, Brookfield, Lowellville, McDonald, Lordstown, Crestview. 14 teams and individuals. The top 14 teams the top 4 teams and individuals will go to district. A lot of competition there in girls bowling this coming Sunday. Division II sectionals at Freeway Lanes in Warren at 2 p.m. Lakeview, Champion, Maplewood, Chalker, Bloomfield. Top 3 teams and individuals go to district. And by the way, those are the local teams. There's a ton of teams that will be competing in that. That's in girls sectional bowling this coming Sunday.
What lanes are those at?
Up at the Freeway Lanes in Warren.
Oh, in Warren.
Yeah, and the freeway lanes in Warren will be the site of the Division II sectional boys beginning at 9 a.m. on Monday, February the 8th. Ursuline, Struthers, Hubbard, Girard, Camel, Liberty, LeBray, JFK, Brookfield, Lowville, McDonald, Lordstown, Heartland Christian, and Crestview among the local teams. Top 4 teams and the individuals go to the districts. At the freeway lanes in Warren at 2 p.m. On Monday, February the 8th. Lakeview, Champion, Maplewood, and Chalker amongst a ton of teams. Top 3 teams and individuals go to the districts. That's in Division 2. Division 2 sectional girls on Tuesday, February the 9th. Garrettsville, Garfield among some other teams. Top 4 teams, top 4 individuals go to the district. Friday, February the 12th at Amron Lanes in Canfield at 9 a.m. or 1:30 p.m. They're not quite sure which one. Division 1, Fitch, Harding, Boardman, Howland, Canfield, and Niles, among other teams. Top 3 teams and top 3 individuals. And then on Sunday, Valentine's Day, the Division 1 sectional boys, Fitch, Harding, Boardman, Howland, Canfield, Niles, a bunch of other teams will all converge to Ameren Lanes in Canfield. Top 3 teams and individuals go to district. So there you go.
Fun times, tournament times on all the sports. Let's go.
Yep. All right, we're out of here. Power Hour is coming up next with DJ and the fellas. They'll take you through the 3 o'clock hour. We'll be back